On this episode of the Star Wars Time Show, Matt and Nick will duke it out as they tier list some of the more memorable big battles from across the eras of Star Wars. Which battles will be S tier? Tune in to find out. The homeboys will also riff on the news that the Acolyte will not get his second go, and how Tim Morrison thinks Boba Fett is mostly dead from future Star Wars live-action projects. Of course, they'll end the show with the question of the week responses and the latest top 5 Star Wars fan artist features. Punch it, Chewie. Hey now, everybody! How'd you like that? Special opening for a special type of show. That's right, people. We are back to special topics, and this one is flashier than ever. That's right.
Yeah.
We're using real online tools. I figured it out this week. It's actually a pretty kick-ass site, and a site that we're going to start relying on a lot, to be honest with you, young Nick, because it helps to spawn ideas for fun special topics to do on the Star Wars Time Show. It's easy to use. I like that there's already user-created content that we could potentially just borrow, but I also like that we can create our own templates like we did today for our meat segment of the show, and that is our ranking of the 24 big battles of Star Wars film, TV, and games. I got to throw games in there because we did include the Battle of Jakku, and we're predominantly sticking to the Skywalker saga era, which now spans from TPM all the way through TROS. So
yes, indeed. And we already have a vote here from BMAD.
Oh, BMAD. Look at BMAD always coming in, whipping out that big dick of a wallet of his. We love you. We appreciate you. I need to paste the chat link into the thing so we can see the chats on the thing. Hold on.
There we go. But yes, BMAD hits us with going ahead and saying the best Star Wars battle is Anakin versus the younglings at the Jedi Temple. Funny that my generation's favorite Star Wars has the most traumatizing scene. Hey, yeah, I mean, that's a battle. It's a very one-sided battle, I'll say, but it was a battle nonetheless.
Yeah, you know,
there
Nick,
were a lot of combatants.
It was interesting. I didn't really, you know, I found this list on Wikipedia. It's awesome. It's literally like the battles of Star Wars, and it starts all the way back at Legends, like the dawn of time. And it's like the battle of this, the incursion of that, conflict here, blue, blue, blee, badoo. So after a while, I was like, all right, screw it. We got to kind of focus this. Let's laser in a little bit. Let's stick to kind of the big ones, the known ones. And we'll circle back. We'll cover some of that legend shit, because I do have a legend master over here on the team. But like I said, that tier ranking site, lots of ideas starting to stew around in this gray matter. But today, like I said, the 24 big battles of Star Wars tier list ranking. And here's the cool part. You can get involved. That's right, my friends. If you look, we have a running poll right now that fans can get into. We have over 226 votes so far, 23 participants. You can clock in. We've got the link here. It's live for 24 hours. It's in the live stream chat, which, hey, if you're just listening posthumously, you can always join the live streams 5 p. East Wednesdays at youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. So make sure to go ahead and fill out your own tier board to see what we got. And tomorrow when it ends, we'll post it up on social media to see what all the fans came up with. And then obviously by the end of today's show, after Nick and I duke it out, slit each other's throats, kick each other in the nuts, we'll post our tier board for these battles.
We'll see if we agree with the fans, right? We'll see if we are aligned with our listeners and if we are one with the Force.
That's right. Real early on, Battle of Hoth, Battle of Endor, Battle of Naboo, Siege of Mandalore, Battle of Scarif, Battle of Crate, And the conflict on Mandalore, all in the S tier.
All in the S tier.
For the fans. So that's most
strong
votes. That's not average. We'll analytic it out for all you people. But have some fun. We also have a poll right now in the live stream chat, courtesy of Mike Kramer. He wanted to do an over-under on how many times this guy would say the F word, so I like it.
There you go.
All right, everyone.
There you go.
Welcome,
we need a
welcome.
live counter now.
There we go. Now we got the comments popping up on the stream. We are ready to rock. B-Mad, thank you, brother. Good to see everyone in the stream. We got Bango up in here. We got B-Mad, Mike Kramer, Divided Skywalker, who, if you look right now,
new member.
They got themselves a little membership Vader kitty.
Thank you.
Thank you, Divided. We love you. We speak your name. You are in the roll call now in the scrolling shit that I sometimes update on the live stream. So that's one of your perks. How about that? We really stretch those dollars that you all contribute to us over here at the SWTS. All right, my friends, we will get to the ranking list, and I'll check in on the live poll every once in a while to see if anything's moving. But as we always do here, we're going to kind of get in and start things off with a little Ask Us Anything. But Nick,
Indeed.
Because some of the questions are geared towards one of our topics, I'm going to go ahead and just get my little pop culture thing out of the way first, and then we'll do Ask Us and get into your the analysis of the Acolyte. And
yes.
One thing I do want to clarify about this Acolyte news, I know a lot of people are going around like Acolyte season 2 cancel. It was never a thing, so it's technically can't be canceled. And it's weird that people weren't doing that with the Book of Boba Fett or Kenobi. But we all know we like negative terminology wrapped around the Acolyte. So saying canceled is better than just it didn't get greenlit.
Yeah. Like the whole situation around it was weird. And like, I'll talk a little bit about it after we do our breakdown. But yeah, I mean, the last one, there definitely was not much of a uproar around a Book of Boba Fett. I do remember some people pushing for a season 2 of Kenobi. But this is definitely the show that
Bango's got it right. Not renewed is the proper term. But I get it. I get the narrative people want to paint with canceled. See, it sucked. Fuck that bitch. And whatever. It's fine. Listen, go back a few shows. It might have been our Punch-Out show. I said this show's not getting a season 2. I mean, I told you that a month ago.
Not many do.
Yeah.
I mean, just like if you look at the breakdown of all Star Wars shows that's gotten a season 2, it is Mandalorian and Andor, and that's it. And Ahsoka, but we haven't even heard about like when Ahsoka season 2 is supposed to happen. So
yeah, that's it.
Not a lot of Star Wars TV gets season 2s, and I'll tell you this right now: if Andor didn't sign a multi-season contract before season 1 came out, they wouldn't have got a season 2 either.
Yeah, because we talked about it llast year. Remember, Andor was supposed to be 4 or 5 seasons. That was the initial plan. Yeah. Then they're like, fuck this shit.
And they're like, it's 2. It's 2. Yeah. And I'm gonna try to take I'll give my opinion, and I'll try to take as much of an objective view as this as possible. But what it just comes down to is dollar bills. Is what it comes down to.
Sure. Low viewership apparently in the end, if you look at some of the numbers in the deadline. But we'll get there. Like I said, let me clear my throat of this right here. So last week, I like to go check out movies. I've been off. I watched all 3 of my free movies last week. We had a little shit fest with Borderlands, got better with Trap. And then Thursday, I checked out the latest Alien movie that is situated in between Alien and Aliens, called Alien Romulus. And I'll tell you what, young Nick, I don't know if you're into the Alien franchise or say anything that ever tickled your pop culture testicles, but this is a real one. Like this is a very, very well done homage to the first 2 Aliens. I think it's a great little bridge movie between the first 2. They honor damn near everything that, Ridley Scott and then, oh man, I can't believe I forget his name. Who did Aliens? He's famous as fuck. Terminator guy. James Cameron did with the first 2. I mean, Nick, the cinematography is intoxicating. It feels old school, very like 1970s, early 80s sci-fi cinematography. Obviously, the sound design is right up there, plays very well into the creep factor they're going for, and just the atmosphere of the space station that the main cast is on for a good part of the film. It's very well done. I mean, it's as Alien-esque as it gets. I will say some of the forced nods to the franchise are kind of just that. They feel forced. You know, I'm a big fan of Rain, the kind of the Sigourney Weaver character here, the Ripley. But my God, like they put her in the same fucking Reeboks. They have her go down an elevator shaft and get out with a gun, holding it in like a white tank. I'm like, okay, like come on, just
a little too much,
right? Yeah, let Rain be Rain and let Ripley be Ripley, and then we get into some weird shit with science and DNA splicing and whatnot towards the end. But honestly, it's fantastic. It really is a damn good alien movie, rated R. It's got the gore, it's got the tension, and like I said, it's just the overall package. We got good acting. I'll tell you what, I wish I looked it up, but the black gentleman that plays Andy, who is the synthetic in this movie, kind of like Bishop or Ash, phenomenal act. Like this guy. He starts off playing the synth, and the synth is kind of broken. So he plays him like he's almost like a slow person, a stutter. He's like, it's like, wow, they actually hired someone that has a stutter to play this role. But then you learn throughout the movie, some things happen, programming kind of gets leveled out, and he's right back to just, being a robotic, normal person. It's very great acting by that young man. So
David Johnson.
Yeah, he needs credit. I mean, I don't know if he has, things in real life that he's had to deal with that allowed him to kind of act that way, but the dude freaking kills it. Like,
very nice.
Kills it. So highly recommend Alien Romulus. Definitely, it's a theater type of movie. You will not be wasting your time. I know the fandos of the Star Wars Time Show Discord loved it too. We had quite a live discussion going on in there. So if you ever want to join in, like if you like this type of shit on Wednesdays, you like the people you're chatting with, you like the dumb shit we're saying, go ahead and join that Discord. We should have an open link right here in this live stream's description, as well as in our link tree in Instagram. We got lots of chats going. Can't catch up to all of them, but check out Alien. All right.
There you go. Check out some Alien stuff.
Let's go ahead and get into the questions, because there might be a few that will funnel us into the topic of the Acolyte there, young Nick. So
Indeed.
Let's start off here with Mike Kramer. Why do you hate Clemson so much, Matt? And how did you guys meet? I think this is a great question. So I'll go ahead and take care of my part, Nick. Okay. It's very easily. I'm an Ohio State alumni. I love Ohio State. I'm not like a true nut job Buckeye fan because I didn't grow up in Columbus, but I did kind of live here in high school and then went to school there and have moved back since. I'm Big Ten educated, got my Ohio State degree, my Penn State master's. And Clemson, just those years when they had Deshaun Watson and they were really clicking, they definitely prevented Ohio State from probably winning at least one or two titles under Urban. And I think there was one under Tressel. So that's why I fucking hate Clemson. I'm glad they've had a few down years, and I hope Dabo Sweeney gets fired. Sorry, Mike. I hope your brother keeps coaching, but screw Dabo. He's got a stupid name. How did we meet?
How do we meet?
Well, I'll kick into it. I used to run an entertainment website called Entertainment Buddha. It was my first foray online. I started it I was 29, 30, just to get away from the corporate world. And actually did fairly well for a website that one guy was running in his basement. I created almost 17,000 articles over 10 years. At one point in time, I had like a staff of 10 to 15 volunteers. And I met this girl named Vanessa, who was doing something similar with, I think it was called GAW, Gamer Assault Weekly. And, we were kind of networking, doing our thing. And Nick was on her team already, kind of her second in command. He was running their podcast. Their COO, I think is what they called him.
Yeah.
And I started kind of writing for them a little bit. And the first time Nick and I actually hung was at PAX South in San Antonio. Probably like 2014, something like that.
Yeah, I think it was 2014. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, so
almost 10 years ago.
It was very like our relationship was very casual up until that. We had fun hanging out, and really we were internet friends. And then when The Force Awakens came out, I was still running Entertainment Buddha. We had just started a podcast over there, mostly on geeky, gamey shit. And with TFA coming out, I was like, damn, I kind of want to talk about Star Wars again. You got to remember, I like Luke, like Yoda, like Obi-Wan, after the prequels, I removed myself from the Force. I was on my own little personal acto with Star Wars. Like, it just wasn't something that I quite wanted to discuss. I was still a little down, a little beat up. But we were like, hey, let's do it. Let's do it. Nick, come on over. Join the Entertainment Buddha podcast team. And, you know, we have like one big round table, right? Discussing TFA, Nick?
Yeah. The first, I guess you would say the first Star Wars time show that ever occurred was actually Matt and I, and then about 4 other people from the Entertainment Buddha staff. And we were all doing kind of, like you said, a round table on, hey, what do we think it's going to be? How do we think it's going to, you know, is it going to be good? Is it going to be bad? And it was just this discussion around, you know, this movie, first time Star Wars is going to be back in theaters in a long time, 10 years. And after that, Matt and I were just like, hey, let's just keep it going. Like, Star Wars is back. We're huge fans. Yep. We really want to make this like something that we do on a weekly basis. It seems like Disney is investing heavily into it. So let's just make our own Star Wars podcast. And that's how it started.
Yeah, that was it. I mean, really, pretty much from 2015 to 2018, we operated off the Entertainment Buddha podcast network. I think at first we were only doing like every other week. Then we're doing one a week. They're always Friday. This is the best. They were never live. They're always Friday after my happy hour at B-Dubs, where I would drink literally a gallon of Coors Light, get home, throw on the mic, and just be like, like, you guys think I'm bad now? You should check out some of the drunk shows.
Yeah, so
because the filter was definitely a little loose back then.
I mean, it was probably good that we were not branded at the Star Wars time at that time. But like, realistically, like we're 300 episodes into Star Wars time show proper now, but there's probably 200 plus episodes on the Entertainment Buddha, you know, channels that happened prior to us starting Star Wars time in totality.
So that's it.
So yeah, there's over 500 episodes of Star Wars time over the 10 years that we've been doing it.
Nick, I've followed Nick from Louisiana to Texas, and you know, I've watched the young man grow up over these years.
There we go.
Now he owns multiple properties. You know, I mean, he's killing it. All right, good question there, Michael Kramer. Thank you. Next one. All right, Bat with Super Bowl predictions. Go ahead, Nick. You take your first crack at this. We've had a few preseason games, not that you can really gauge anything. So
and I just had my fantasy football draft yesterday.
That's early.
It's a dynasty league that I've been in for a long time. It's a long time.
Well, I guess that's why you could have it so early, because it really doesn't matter if people are hurt or not, or going to get hurt.
Yeah. Like, you keep your whole team, and then you're just basically drafting your bench players, your flex players. In my opinion, I feel like the league is kind of up in the air this year. I don't feel like that there's anybody that's super ahead of the curve other than Kansas City. So my predictions would probably be a revisit to the Super Bowl for Kansas City. And then I don't know how big Saquon Barkley is going to have an impact on the Eagles side of things, but I wouldn't be super surprised if it was another KC Eagles Super Bowl.
All right. Steelers are fucking hot garbage. So I can just, I've already written that season off. Both Justin Fields and Russell Wilson are possibly worse than Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph, and that other neckbeard fuck that they had, who used to be a number one pick. And I don't remember his name, and that's how shitty you are. Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
So, it's hard to bet against Kansas City. I mean, Mahomes to me is Brady 2.0, and he's got his boy Kelsey. There isn't a lot of drama on the team. I think they're definitely a shoo-in for the AFC. NFC, I like what young Nick's spitting. It just depends if Jalen and Sirianni are getting along, because I think everyone forget that the Eagles crashed and burned last year. They're like 10-0, in control of the NFC, and then just fucking lost the rest of their games, and we're out in the first round of the playoffs. A good point on Saquon, but you know what? If they can get Ayuk figured out, I'm still going to go 49ers. So I'm going rematch 49ers Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Yeah.
I think that those are the two front runners in the NFC. As a Saints fan, I just don't feel like we're gonna be good. Like
well, you're like me. You don't have a real quarterback, right? Like you just.
Yeah, I mean, we have Derek Carr. He looked okay at the end of last season, but I don't have any faith in him to lead us to a Super Bowl.
Right.
And I also just am not a huge fan of our head coach. I'm not a huge fan of Dennis Allen. I think that we need to move on. I hope I'm proven wrong. I always hope that I'm proven wrong about stuff like that, but I'm not going to throw my prediction in for the Saints this year.
All right. Yeah, I'm with Mando Pyre. I think the Eagles, they lost that mojo when that dude, their coach, was talking shit in the Chiefs basically tunnel last year. He's like, "You like that now? What you like that now?" Yeah. It's like, hey, calm down, bro. Season ain't over yet, man.
Yeah, so we'll see. But yeah, that's my take.
Look at B-Mad. Let's hope Taylor Swift write that breakup song before the Super Bowl. Yeah, right. As long as she's attached to the Chiefs, they're winning everything. Trust me. Yeah, don't worry about it.
It's in the script. It's in the script. The NFL has the script. It is written. AFC champs will be the Chiefers.
And then there's, Kramer, and then there's the Cowgirls. Don't worry. They'll piss away their season just like they did last year.
Indeed.
All right. I know. We'll get away from the sports talk. A lot of times geeky podcast people do not like real sports for some reason. I never got that because really sports are no different than geeking out on Star Wars or Star Trek or Dungeons and Dragons. The same shit. So don't let sports fans make you think you're anything less because you dedicate your time to fiction shit. Sports is no different.
Right. They're just staring at analytic numbers and being like, oh my God, this wide receiver is the best one. Look at all the numbers.
They like a bunch of dudes in tight pants and slapping asses. All right, here's coming from Scion XTC. I like this one. If you had 1 hour to talk to any character from Star Wars, who would it be?
Oh, man, that's such a good question, right?
It's tough, but like
I would pick Qui-Gon Jinn.
Oh, nice. Quick reasoning.
My quick reasoning is we haven't seen we just didn't get a lot of content from him, and we know that his ideals are very different than the ideals that were espoused by the Jedi Order at that time. So I would really want to sit down with him and talk and be like, hey, what is your what is your perspective on the Force, and how should people be trained, and why, what did you see in Anakin as a kid who was too old to start his training that you thought was like, hey, he's worth the risk, and I feel like that I could shepherd him along the way, the right way.
Okay. I mean, I hate to go with this one because it's too easy, but I want to go with Anakin Skywalker after his redemption. So essentially the Ahsoka Anakin is who I want to talk to, because that's a deep version of that character. That dude's been through some shit. Mm-hmm. He had a tragic fall. His son restored his faith in the light, brought him back, and now he's out there, trying to correct his mistakes, let people know he's there for him. I'd really like to get into the head of that version of Anakin, because that's the most fleshed out, enlightened version of the character. What was it? Yeah. Why did you make the choice? Because I don't like what George did. Why did you really fall to the dark side? How did Luke really get inside your brain? Because the comic books have gotten too fucking weird. And then in the end, why did you do that to Ahsoka to let you know that you were there for her? It was kind of a fucked up way to help her realize her destiny. But, what was the choice behind some of that very intense therapy?
Yeah, no, I think that's a good answer as well.
All right, we got a quick one coming up, and B-Mad, we love him. He does get preference here, so he's got a late question coming in. Nick, he wants to know what Star Wars alien species you guys would be if you could choose.
That's a Star Wars alien species that I would be if I could choose. I might. Damn, that's a good one too. That's such a hard question. I'm for some reason the first thing that popped into my head was Zabrak, just because Zabraks look so cool, and the impact that Maul had on me when he was first introduced in the series was huge, and that design style of that character is always something I've been a big fan of. So yeah, I mean, I'll just go Zabrak.
Okay. The dirtbag mad answer in me is, I want to be like a Twi'lek, just so I can stare, a female Twi'lek, just so I can stare at myself nude in the mirror. My real answer would be, just because I think he's a funny little guy, but I'd go Anzalin. I'm already a short person, so I might as well be like a little Babu Frick motherfucker.
Just go all the way short.
There you go.
Even shorter than the Ugnaughts. Just go all the way down.
Shorter than Grogu even. We saw that last week. I mean, he's in one of their ships, and he looks like a giant. So good one there, Scion. Okay, Rippick Tam, related to battles, do you guys have a favorite Wilhelm scream?
Dude, it's so hard because there's a Wilhelm scream in A&H, and I can't remember the exact.
Isn't it when the twins are going across the chasm? Because that's what I was going for.
That's what I think. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking about. I think it was that one. But that's the one that stands out most to me from the Star Wars franchise. But there was one on. There's another one that stands out so much to me. It's outside the Star Wars franchise. It was in the first Mummy movie, and it's Brendan Fraser. It's at the very beginning when they're at Hamunaptra. Brendan Fraser and Benny are there, like defending. He's backing up and shooting these people on the horses, and he pops one dude on a horse. This guy does a full flip in Wilhelm screams as he hits the sand, and I was like, that's the one that I remember the most vividly in my head.
Yeah, like Nick said, there's so many in the Lucas properties. Indiana Jones definitely has some great ones.
Indy has good ones too.
But I'm gonna go with I believe it is the Chasm Fall in A New Hope.
Oh, Sir Dork's got a good one too. The guy falling off the elephant in Return of the King. Like when he gets hit by I think it was when they throw the spear. Yeah.
It's one of the greatest screams ever. But that's why I hope we get a Rampart. I don't know if anyone remembers from Bad Batch, but when Rampart, he almost has started Wilhelm 2.0 when he jumps out of that like Marauder thing as they're about to, kind of raid the base on Wayland. He's like, but yeah, the Wilhelm is fantastic.
Yeah,
speaking of Tolkien, the dudes over at Beyond the Dune Sea, they're pulling out all the stops, Nick. I don't know if you saw their shit last week, but they fully covered Fellowship of the Ring. They're back to making skits. They crashed their Millennium Falcon in Middle Earth. It was very well done.
That's cool.
Both of them were wearing their Hobbit outfits with like the Sam and Frodo scarves. It was amazing. I mean, they even had the fucking the leaf pins. What are the leaves called again? The type of leaf from the elves from Galadriel.
Yeah, the pipe weed leaves, but there was
the leaf clasp for their cloaks.
Yeah, like the clasp. I can't remember the name of the clasp exactly. But
since I've been deep into Tolkien lore, I mean, besides Star Wars, Tolkien is like my next deep dive in like not real shit. Yeah. But anyways,
I'm hyped.
They're on Two Towers this week. Return next week. If you're into the Tolkien films from Peter Jackson. These two are doing some pretty deep breakdowns, and they may even get you emotional. I thought Seth was about to cry last week when he's talking about how everyone in life needs a Samwise Gamgee. And he's right.
Dude,
he's right.
He's right. You always need that unconditional.
He was ready to die to go after his buddy. So
yeah. Everybody needs their Samwise.
All right, B-Matt, we'll give you another one. Since Star Wars Outlaw is coming out in about a week, are expectations high or low? I think, I'm on the internet a bit more than Nick. I think it's fairly high. It really is. There's been leaks happening, which usually means people are like, hey, look, I'm doing this. They're trying to show like I'm cooler than you. That's always a good sign. It's the first of its kind for a Star Wars game. And I'm actually trying to finally get through Final Fantasy VII Rebirth to get ready for it. So I wouldn't say I'm losing sleep over the arrival of Outlaws, but I'm definitely ready for a new game. And this could be a hell of an experience if it's done correctly, because we've never gotten to play a Star Wars game of this genre.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm excited for it. I didn't play Jedi Survivor. It's just not a game that I was interested in, but I think that this one has definitely like piqued my interest more than previous Star Wars games that have released in the last 10 years or so. So I'm hyped for it. It's Ubisoft, so I'm cautiously optimistic because Ubisoft always finds a way to mess up games recently. But I like the concept. I like the gameplay style that we've seen so far. So I'm pretty excited. All right. Good stuff there. Thank you, chatters.
Hold on. Ooh.
Bless you.
I don't have a cough button, or I do. I just too lazy to hit it. Sorry. All right, this comes from Abigail Sky, a.k.a. Divided Skywalker. Earth becomes uninhabitable, and you have to choose a planet or moon. Oh, geez, I'm dying here, Nick. To relocate to. Where do you go and why?
So for me, this is gonna be Star Wars planet. We're not talking about. I want to move to Venus, right?
She said Earth, so I'm thinking it's our solar system, and
it's our solar.
Unless you know of other planets out there, Andromeda or other galaxies.
Yeah, I'm not up on that. I would have to ask Phil. Phil has way more space experience than I do to give me names of exoplanets on different solar systems. But if it was in our galaxy, I think the closest inhabitable planet is Mars. But if I had to pick one and say like, hey, within our solar system, if any of the planets could be inhabitable, I would probably say Venus. Venus has an atmosphere that I believe is like,
it's like acid.
Yeah, it's like an acid atmosphere, and like the entire planet I think is liquid. But I think that Venus would be a cool place to live.
Hey,
if
nice
you could survive there.
Yeah, nice temps.
Yeah, if you yeah, you know, like if you go Mercury, you just get fried, right?
Yeah.
You're just dead.
Or you freeze. Like it depends on the time of day, but literally that planet gets scorched or freezes to death all year long, like every time it rotates.
And if you're on Jupiter, you're constantly running from the massive hurricane that rages across the surface of that planet at all times.
Well, honestly, Nick,
actually Saturn. I would pick Saturn because Saturn is such a cool looking.
It's cool looking for sure. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, the planet that's featured in Aliens also has a ring, so it works. Rings around planets are cool, although they're deadly for things that tend to hover up there in the atmosphere. Nick, you know what? I'm gonna stick in around Jupiter, but I'm going something that orbits Jupiter. I'm going Europa, the moon.
Okay, yeah, there you go.
Just because I saw a movie that Hollywood made that says we could live there, so there you go.
Hey, maybe
Where's
so.
Phil? Phil, is that real? Is that Europa movie even remotely possible? But that's where I'd go. All right. I like that, Abigail Sky. Thank you. Next question here. Johnny Osage. Yeah, here we go. We're starting to lead into the Acolyte stuff. Hello. So with no S2 of the Acolyte, do you think they will continue it on the big screen?
Okay. Yeah. So let's see what the next one is, because I will dive into it in our.
All right.
Johnny, I promise I'm going to answer your question.
Oh, shit. I had them a little out of order here, but this works. We'll take care of Nova here, then we'll get back. BC, I believe, has a Acolyte question, then we'll answer those. But here we'll switch gears real quick, Nick. What is the better sound effect in Star Wars? The Falcon jumping into hyperspace, so like, or the seismic charge? I always want to, or is where it drops, no sound, then it's like, bang. All right. And yes, I'm asking. Oh, well, there you go. You got what you needed, Nova. You got the sound effects. I'm going the seismic charge 100%, not even close.
I love the seismic charge. I do, but to me, it's like the Falcon jumping into hyperspace. That sound is so iconic, and it's like it's a perfect. Like if you wanted like a text message alert sound, I think that's good for that too. I'm gonna go with the Falcon.
We used the hyperspace sound, I think, for our clips and shit, or maybe even the dumb show. Who knows?
Yeah, for the intro into our content.
The seismic charge. It's just one of those things because the visuals help it because of the delayed audio. That I think that's what really sells that one. All right, thanks, Nova. Yeah, here we go. So we'll answer Johnny and BC together. So BC's asking, seeing as Acolyte has been canceled, what would you like to see continue from that show? So what do we want to continue from the show if it's possible? And Nick, if it does continue, is it going to be a movie? That's kind of where we're going at with these two. Yeah,
so to preface this response, I posted on Threads, and I made a post on Threads yesterday, like Threads, the social media thing, and it like popped off. And the thesis of my post was, in my opinion, I think that this non-renewal of Acolyte and what Disney has said surrounding their content strategy, to me, leads me to believe that all live action Star Wars is either going to be nuked or put on pause for some amount of time. It got like 350 likes and a bunch of comments.
Young Nick went viral. He's sitting there. He's like pissing on fires out there on the internet. I love it.
But it basically my thoughts on this are as follows. And I'm going to give you my opinion on it not being renewed, and I'm going to be as objective as possible about it. In terms of after my opinion. I'm definitely disappointed it's not getting a second season. I think that the second season would have set up a lot of cool lore around Darth Plagueis, the Sith at that time, and moving us closer to what we get to see in the prequel trilogy. So overall, I'm very, it sucks that it's not getting a second season. That being said, I don't think that it's not an Acolyte thing. It's an all of it thing. It is Disney is now changing their content strategy and moving away from high budget live action TV shows. And I can tell you why in pure numbers. There was a post on Star Wars Reddit where somebody pulled up Nielsen ratings, like Nielsen numbers for every show. And every show that has released after Mandalorian season 1 has seen a decrease in viewership. There's a lot of reasons that happens. There's a lot of reasons that viewership drops. In my opinion, there's a mix. I think that the concerted hate campaigns out there by large scale content content creators are definitely impacting it. Because from a neutral viewer standpoint, if you have no idea what the Acolyte is, and you're like, oh, wow, new Star Wars show, let me go see what's out there. Should I watch this? And you see that it has a 17% on Rotten Tomatoes. You open up YouTube and you type in the Acolyte review, and you see videos that have 100,000 views that are saying that it's trash. The neutral viewer is going to be swayed by that. People like us, who are, hardcore fans of Star Wars and will give anything a shot, it's not going to matter as much. We can identify, when things are just being disingenuous with the way that they're speaking to their audience. But a neutral viewer can't. So I do think that overall, every series after The Mandalorian has seen some degree of lost retention because of these
this one really pitted out. Like if you look at what happened to Acolyte, it had that strong 4.8 mil start, but by week 3 it was basically dead.
So like the Nielsen numbers
it had the lowest finale too.
Yeah, like the average. So like those numbers.
Deadline has some of the numbers. Let me scroll down there for you.
Yeah, and like on Reddit, there's a full Nielsen number breakdown. So here's how the Nielsen number breakdown went between. I'm just going to talk between Andor and Acolyte, because those are the two that are the closest in terms of viewership numbers and budget. So if we look at it purely from a numbers perspective, 9.3 million was the average Nielsen viewer rating, 9.3 million average viewers per episode by Nielsen for the Acolyte. Andor was 9.9 million average viewers per episode.
Look at that.
So it ain't that much lower. Like it's like you're talking 600,000 people, which is less than a 10% difference in terms of overall viewership between those two franchises. The budget for both of those shows was over $20 million an episode. Now, if we just extrapolate that through the cost of a Disney Plus membership alone, neither one of them made even half of what their total budget was. So if we're looking at content strategy from a Disney perspective and how do we make things profitable, continuing to make these $20 million plus, like $20 million per episode TV series just doesn't cut it. Like it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, we gotta get some CW budget shit going on.
Yeah, like it. So you're essentially losing. Like if we look at the total budget for Andor is $250 million for 12 episodes, which is nuts. That's insane. And it didn't crack 10 million viewers per episode, which is also insane considering how much Disney went through to try to push that show beyond its audience. That was the only Disney Plus show that they've ever put on Hulu as a separate stream. They put it on a completely different viewing platform for people to really like, hey, you need to watch this show. They've never done that before. Still didn't crack 10 million. So both of these shows lost an incredible amount of money. And the only reason that Andor is getting a season 2 is because the contract signed before the start of that show was a multi-season contract. That's just the fact of it. And even with that multi-season contract, Disney cut it from, like you said, Matt, from 4 to 5 seasons to 2. And if that wasn't done, Andor would have been done at season 1. It's just numbers. It's just numbers. That's all I'm trying to focus on here right now is just the numbers. And Acolyte's in a similar position. Like Acolyte had an average viewership of 9.3 million, an average cost per episode of about 22 million per episode. And if you just extrapolate out 9.3 million users times 10, which is your average cost of a Disney Plus subscription, $10 is $93 million. You barely made back half of your production budget. And that's the same for Andor.
Well, yeah, because they were what? Acolyte was quoted what, 100 mil?
180 million is what it was for the entire budget.
Jesus Christ. Well, yeah, for
the entire season.
This is easy. Like, what are we even talking about?
So from a purely financial standpoint, for all of these series, it's the same for Boba Fett lost money. Yeah, like Boba Fett lost money, Obi-Wan lost. Obi-Wan is the most viewed non-Mandalorian season of television that Disney Plus has put out, still lost money. The average viewership of Mando.
Man, let's get in the streaming business. It sounds very lucrative.
Yeah. The average viewership for Mando is about 22 million per episode. And that's an average across all 3 seasons. It may be a little bit higher, maybe around 23 million. But again, if you take that out and you extrapolate it, you're only talking what you make $200 million in subs for people watching that, and the cost of that is, and still the cost of the production is higher per season. So they're losing money on every season of live action TV that they make. Now, from a content perspective, so financially, none of it makes sense. None of them. This isn't an Acolyte thing, and that's what I'm trying to get across here. Is like they're not canceling the Acolyte. They're not renewing the Acolyte because of the Acolyte. They're doing it because all these shows are losing money straight up. And that doesn't even count the fact that like you have to pay for your server costs to host all of your content and everything else that has to come out of a Disney Plus sub. Just purely, it doesn't make money. So from a content perspective, do I think that it was wise to cancel the only show that you have in a new era of Star Wars that you have hand-built yourself? No, I think it's a bad idea, because now the only thing that you have coming out in that particular brand new era of storytelling are novels, and you're not pushing them. I haven't seen an ad. I haven't seen any content push for novels at all.
The High Republic, in my opinion, is a somewhat failed experiment. And
it's in the reason behind it is just like it's a lack of concentrated effort to make that happen. Like you announced the High Republic publishing initiative, you have the books and you have the comic books out, and then you finally get to a point where it's like, okay, we really need to expand this and do it in a visual way.
Yeah.
And you cancel it after one season of TV, or you don't renew it after one season.
Nick, in my opinion, the show should have been right there at launch or soon after launch of the High Republic, not 3-4 years after.
Yeah, it's and what it really lacks is dedication from the Disney side of things. It's dedication from Disney to say like, hey, this is an era that we built and that we are going to invest storytelling in. And like Devin said, like an animated shows are way cheaper to produce now. Way cheaper to produce than live action. You can get them out quicker, and you already have the template made to be able to pump them out quickly. So I think that in terms of content strategy, I think it's an awful move, because you had like good story leading into what would be like leading into George's trilogy of prequels. And I think that now you are bereft of content within the High Republic. So I think it's a big loss there. In terms of financials, It's straight up. It's not even the Acolyte. It's all of them. Mandalorian season 4 got pushed to a movie. Why? Because it's too expensive. The Lando series that was supposed to be a series is no longer a series and may be a movie because they're too expensive to make. Book of Boba Fett had 18 almost. I think that average viewer count was 15 million per episode. It was still too costly. These shows are just too costly, and there's no way for them to recoup their money on it unless they license them, and they're not going to do that because if you license it, you get one big fee, and the big fee is not going to be enough to offset the cost that you've already invested into it. So that's the thesis of it, is that it's not personal for the Acolyte.
Do you think critical response plays any role in these decisions? Because let's be real. Book of Boba didn't go over too well. Kenobi didn't really even go over too well. Acolyte, we know for damn sure didn't go over too well, but it's hard to tell because of the review bomb.
Yeah, I mean, Acolyte.
I mean, you got I get you. Like finances is 95% of these decisions, but don't you think some of the just overall negativity and lack of viewership due to negativity also plays into this?
100%. I mean, it definitely does. Like as much as we as fans don't let that color our opinions. Right. There are people, like I said before, there are neutral viewers out there. Like if I go and I tell my neighbor down the street, like, hey man, like
shit sucks, bro.
Like there's a new Star Wars show out, you should check it out. And then they go look it up on Rotten Tomatoes and has a 17%. Yeah. And then they go on YouTube.
Nick does too many drugs.
Yeah, they're like the Acolyte reviews, and they see the first 4 videos they see have over 100,000 views, and all of them say how trash it is.
Right.
Then like that's going to color a neutral viewer to not watch it. So it's unquestionable that these hate campaigns have had this is a good one from Be Mad for You. Nick gives vibes of the guy you do shrooms with, and he breaks down how society will fall like I'm just, like I said, I'm just trying to be as neutral about it as possible.
Next week we're gonna have a shroom show. Yeah,
we'll do a shroom show, and I'll get even deeper into it. But that's like, and ultimately, it's a combination of things. I think that review bombing and negativity in the community affects things because ultimately it will be affected. Like, yes, it is going to affect your viewership.
Yeah, your point is spot on. I mean, humans are lemmings, and if they read what other lemmings say, they're going to jump off the same cliff. So
yeah. And so like that's going to affect it. I think that critical reception is a very important part of renewing a show because it looks good when you can say like, hey, this is an Emmy nominated show. Like talking about how a neutral viewer sees something. That's why when you go on Netflix, every show that was Emmy nominated has it on the title card.
Yep.
It says it right there.
I see them and I'm like, oh, I should probably watch that.
Yeah. So like when you have that panache behind it and you can say like, hey, this show got nominated for an Emmy, it gives it credibility. So that definitely has an effect on it.
Yeah.
But ultimately what it comes down to is during the time of COVID, you couldn't do movies. So everybody overinvested in streaming. So much so that they have now got to a point to where it's truly unsustainable. They knew that it was going to be unsustainable in the short term. They didn't know if it was going to be unsustainable in the long term. And now they found out that it's unsustainable in the long term. So what they need to do now, in my opinion, is you can't completely nuke TV. Like, I think that's the direction they're going to overcorrect and they're going to completely nuke TV for a little while.
Save me $10 a month, Disney.
Yeah, but you can't do that ultimately, especially if you're trying to retain your subscriber base on Disney Plus. You can't completely nuke it. What they need to do is either lean back into animation, which we know that they're doing. It's already been announced that there is a new animated series that's being worked on. So either you just fully invest in the animation on the TV side, or you find a way to cut your budgets down in half for your live action TV shows. You take a show that
volume
used to be
only, people.
I mean, if that's how you got to do it, that's how you got to do it. But like, you take a show that would have cost you $200 million in this era, and you make it for $75 million. Yeah. And that's the way you make it happen. Is you reduce your budgets on the live action side. You keep that.
Stop paying the CEOs $50 to $60 million bonuses.
Yeah. That too. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can do to keep the live action TV side of it sustainable. The problem right now is that they've just overspent on it. So, overall thesis, The Acolyte not getting season 2 is definitely colored by the viewership numbers, because it has to be, because that's how you determine your profitability. But every show is unprofitable, all of them. There's not one season of Disney Plus Star Wars TV that has been profitable. It is just pure numbers. And they just got to a point 5 years into the experiment where they're like, we can't keep losing 50% of our production budget every time a show comes out. Right. We just can't do it. And here's what I'm worried about is that this Mandalorian and Grogu movie's coming out. If you look at the viewership numbers for the TV series, like I said, it averages around 23 million viewers per episode. If you only get 23 million people to go see this movie, it's a bomb, and it's a big bomb.
It's Borderlands.
Like, it's Borderlands. It's you. What's a movie ticket cost right now, Matt?
Like
$10?
$18 if you go to a real theater. Like if you go to Dolby or IMAX, you're looking anywhere from $15 to $19, depending on state, city.
Yeah, so you figure to factor in standard viewing costs, your average movie ticket probably costs you $12. So then you multiply that by 23 million people. What do you get? You get roughly a $300 million movie, and that's what Solo made, and that killed every Star Wars spinoff that was coming out.
I think unlike Solo, which had some baggage behind it with TLJ, Mando and Grogu is going to have a very strong opening weekend. Now, will it maintain? I don't know. It's going to be the first movie out in almost 10 years by the time it comes out?
Yeah.
7 years?
I think the problem with this is you've named it something that only a fraction of your desired audience watches, and there is a massive back catalog of stuff that you have to watch to be up to where this is. Like, you are inherently putting yourself on the back foot with this movie because you have so much that's required to understand what this movie is about.
What you're saying essentially is you've already almost limited your potential customer base to Disney Plus subscribers only.
Yeah, 100%. And then you really hope that the people who are Disney Plus subscribers that go see it bring a friend, bring others who aren't Disney, like who haven't seen it, and that you get a word of mouth buzz. Because this isn't a Star Wars movie. It's not called Star Wars The Mandalorian and Grogu. It's called The Mandalorian and Grogu. Every Star Wars movie that's come out before this has been, with the exception of Rogue One and Solo, and it was the subtitle, has been Star Wars, whatever. Star Wars, Revenge of the Sith, Star Wars, Rise of Skywalker. This is The Mandalorian and Grogu. And if you don't have Disney Plus and you've never watched The Mandalorian, you're like, what the fuck is that?
Well, most people have seen the little green guy, that's for sure. He's been all over. Like, he's on toilet paper, toilet seats, plungers, car decals.
Yeah, like, it's the same thing. Like, it's the same thing that I said about Andor. Calling that show Andor was a mistake. And that's why less than 10 million people watched it, even though everybody who's seen it is like, this is the best Star Wars we've ever seen. It's the second least viewed Star Wars series by far.
Season 2 should be Star Wars Kino Loy Returns.
It's something.
No Way Out, Part 2.
They have a fun, like, I think it could really be bad if this Mandalorian movie does not pop, because if it doesn't pop, I don't know what could happen, Like, if this movie makes $400 million...
Bye-bye Rey movie, bye-bye Dawn of the Jedi, and possibly bye-bye the Mando crossover.
Yeah. I mean, it's a really
They'll
hard
go back to TV. Man, what a mess. All right, well, hey... mad. Really, what Nick is saying, I don't think it matters, hate or not. It's just money is reigning supreme these days at streamers. They're all bleeding it outside of Netflix, and even Netflix is firing people left and right. So
and dude, like, so if the Acolyte didn't get,
I think the only way Acolyte
it would have. Like I said, the only reason Andor has a second season at all is because it was a multi-season contract before it started.
Yeah, it would cost some money to get out of that.
Yeah, so. that show, if you want to have an average of how much the Andor show lost. Had a $250 million budget. It probably made $100 million in terms of subscriber, viewer revenue that watched that show. So it lost about $150 million.
We got Beyond the Dune Sea up in this bitch today. We just talked about your tour to Middle Earth there, good friend. So nice to see you. They must be doing a live Friday if they're in here. I like it. Yeah, well, hey, kind of circling it all back after Nick just took us to school. I believe the one question was, are there any themes you'd like to see carried forward from the Acolyte?
I definitely would like to see the continuation of the dark side narrative.
Yeah.
If there's only going to be
Plagueis.
one...
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
If there's only going to be one thing pulled through, it should be that. And it's because that informs what happens in TPM and forward.
Yeah, it was dangerous to bring him in without a guarantee to flesh him out. I kind of said that earlier. It's like, but yeah, it's the Plagueis stuff. Obviously, Kamir. I honestly feel the worst for Manny Jacinto.
Yeah, that's the biggest question to me is if like I said, D23 is all owned by Disney. I said this last week. If Disney knew that they weren't going to renew this show, why did they let Manny go up there and say like, hey, I really hope we can do it again. I'm really excited to see what could happen in the future. And Manny's already announced for being at Celebration Japan. So for Manny, you got to feel bad. You got to feel bad.
You can't feel too bad because now the guy's got a lifelong meal ticket to make cash at cons and expos and whatnot. So I'm not going to feel too bad for him. I feel worse for us and the fans not getting to see Kamir's story get finished. I'm sorry. I'm dying. Yeah. I'm like got one of these boogers in your throat problems. That's like one of the worst things in life. So I'm trying to get through it.
All good.
I'll do my best, but I can feel one coming up right now on the left side, potentially from my left nostril. I'll let you know when it comes out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sir Dork's right. They canceled it on Manny's birthday.
And it was also my birthday.
Yeah,
my birthday.
That's right.
19th.
Young Nick's going to move in, the middle-aged Nick soon.
Yeah. 36. But
I just wanted more Ki-Adi-Mundi. Yeah. I mean, he's the reason the show got canceled. Him and Yoda.
Yeah. I mean, and who knows? I mean, Divided Skywalker saying maybe he's already signed on for a spinoff. That's the thing that's unknown right now. We don't know what is happening with the properties that were TV shows. Could they be redeveloped into films? Could they be redeveloped into different styles of properties, whether it be animated?
Well, that's my problem. Like I do not want Kamir and Plagueis to go to Words and shit. I just don't, because the Words and shit have gotten bad. I mean, the comic books are vomit. They're barf. I think I've got like 2 or 3 just lined up on my Comixology account, and I don't care anymore. The shit's got so dumb, and we all know I'm brain dead and can't read anyways. But if anything from the Acolyte just moves into written form, it might as well not even exist to me. So fuck off.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's like how it is.
There's
an
F word for those keeping count.
Does Manny get the Hayden treatment, or you think?
No,
I mean, I don't think that he's gonna.
Well, it's different because people already like Manny. You got to remember, back in the day, people hated Hayden because they hated the prequels. Now they love him because time heals all wounds. So I don't think anyone hated Manny. He was kind of the star of the show as well, of his character.
I mean, like even the people who were out there concertedly hating on the show didn't really say anything about Manny.
It was hard to talk shit about Kamir and Manny's performance. It's same as like Lee Jung Jae's performance as Soul. Hey, whatever. And like I said, this news was not shocking to me. I told you this show was dead after season 1. Which is why I was kind of disappointed that all along Leslie's like, hey, don't worry. I know we're not getting a second season. That's why things are going to be pretty finalized by the end of season 1. And then we get to the end of season 1, nothing's fucking finalized. So I was like, well, that sucks because I know we're not getting this. We're not getting this payoff. And the other question we had, Nick, is do you think it's going to make it into films? That's another fat no.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that we get some sort of, and for Disney's sake, they really need to, but I really hope there is some sort of continuation of the High Republic narrative, whether it be Acolyte or not, in visual form, because there needs to be. Like, you can't have an era that exists purely in 4 books, like in book form. Like, even the Old Republic during the George years had multiple video games. It had a whole MMO made about it that's still alive and very profitable. Like, they need to develop out that era, whether it be in video games, in whatever, animated shows, like a movie, something. Like, I feel like there's meat on the bone there, and they need to figure out how to serve it to people, but there's enough there that they can do something
That's
with.
a good point. I also think people need to learn how to be served non-Skywalker saga content as well, because
that's also
a lot of these things that have skirted away from the Skywalker Prime, they're the ones that people turn on the fastest. Solo, the Acolyte. It's like, even Andor. I know a lot of people have Andor. It's a special place in their heart, but there's a lot of people who fucking hate that show because there was zero fantasy elements, zero force, zero magic. So it's fans. I'm not saying us, because I consume any shit that Disney poops down my mouth, but fans in general. Where the hell was I going with this?
They only want to see Skywalker.
Yeah,
stuff.
Like, you got to be. But that's the funny thing about the Star Wars fandom. There's also a lot of fans like, hey, it's all more Skywalker stuff. Well, okay, here's something completely new in a new era. Fuck you, canon breaking, stupid cunt, ruined shit. Anakin's birth isn't special anymore. I'm gonna fucking light myself on fire.
Yeah, it's like psychos like this. And somebody asked earlier if the Mando Grogu movie fails, does Disney sell the IP? The fact of the matter is nobody would buy it. It's a toxic IP now. Like, and it's undeniably a toxic IP. Like, you would be buying an IP, and it sucks to say as somebody who's been a lifelong Star Wars fan, but you're essentially buying an IP that is inherently, that has a rotten element to it, and you can't extract it. Like, you can't pull it off.
It's only worth owning the IP for the content, the existing content, the trilogy, maybe the prequels and the OT. You can license that shit out. That's the only reason to buy the Star Wars license at this point in time.
Yeah,
you can't make new content. Like, people are just like, people don't want new Star Wars.
Yeah,
they don't,
and that's
they don't.
Ultimately, the problem is that, like, who's like, Warner Brothers ain't gonna buy it. They have toxic assets of their own.
I mean, Disney's gonna end up buying Warner Brothers, for Christ's sake. So I mean,
maybe. Like,
they're all a mess. But yeah, hey, this is it. This is the bed that Disney has made. We're all lying in it. The fans, we got a little responsibility in it as well, at least the nut jobs out there. People not watching. I mean, hey, it's unfortunate. I can't say I'm surprised by all this. As Nick kind of ran through, if you missed it, he went through all the business of what's happening with streaming platforms in general. But you just can't shoot money out of a fire hose and expect to make that money back. And that's what every single company did after Netflix was starting to really show them, like, hey, there is an arena online to just stream content, original content, new IP. There is a place for it. But they all forgot that, you got to essentially buy an entire server farm in the cloud. And then you got to pay for the productions. Then you got to pay for the productions to sit on your servers. I mean, that's why Max rotates out all their content across Netflix and other platforms, because that's how they make some more cash.
Yeah. And dude, like, just think about this. The streaming service that started it all with this prestige TV, HBO, like HBO Max, Game of Thrones, literally had to merge with another entity to stay alive.
Right.
And they don't even have their name anymore. HBO isn't even on the fucking title anymore.
Yeah, you can.
It's just Max.
It's all fucked up. There's like an HBO you can still get, but it's just HBO, and then there's Max, and then there's all this other. It's a complete mess. And they're going through the same shit. House of the Dragon was only 8 episodes long, and it clearly affected the story that they were trying to tell, because those have always been 10 episodes. But hey, budget, eat shit, fuck off. Well, there's another one.
And the reality, the fact is that this adjustment doesn't need to be made just in terms of streaming cost. It needs to be made in terms of movie production budget. Like, you can't afford to pay $250 million to make a movie anymore. If you can't make a movie for 80 to 100 million, you don't need to make it. Like, you need to be able to control your costs to a point to where if a movie makes 300 million, you can be like, wow, we made 3 times what we put into it. Like, there's no reason for these movies to cost $250 million, $300 million to make. And if you can't control the cost, that is on your production team, and that's on your producers and everybody who's controlling your line items. And you can't expect every movie that comes out to make $1 billion. No. It's just not. It's not viable.
Yeah, that's like. It's few and far between these days. $1 billion movies used to kind of be guaranteed every summer. Not anymore. I think Deadpool was our only one. There was one right before Deadpool, but you might get $2 or $3 billion films a year now, where it used to kind of be a thing. All right, I want to shift out of this stuff because I'm even starting to get a little over it, and if I'm getting over it, then that means most people are over it. So, sadly, we're getting right back into the weeds with Disney Plus stuff. But this is more of just like, yeah. Okay, this is the state of Disney Plus streaming Star Wars live TV. But this story's been kicking around the past few days because Tamara Morrison was at some fan expo. They got him on stage and he just kind of let loose like Tem likes to let loose. And he pretty much said, like, hey, motherfuckers, Boba Fett was coming back in The Mandalorian Season 4 until they canceled it. And he's like, I am not in the movie. And he's like, I believe Boba Fett has been effectively shelved due to the poor reception and portrayal of the character in the book of Boba Fett. So, Tem's been pretty honest ever since the show ended. Like, he didn't quite love the pivot they made for the character, and he does think that has affected Boba's potential to kind of rejoin the crowd. It makes sense that he would have came back in Season 4 if they kept it on TV, but it does sound like, unless he's just being a little fibber, which he could be, it's not like if he signed an NDA, he can just come out and be like, hey, Fan Expo Chicago, I'm in the movie. So, he could be playing a game, but I also could see him just kind of telling us straight up, like, yeah, I'm pretty sure this character is shelved for the time being due to the poor portrayal and reception of the book.
Yeah, it's really like, if you're gonna be glib and just try to hide whether you're in a movie or not, I don't know if you take that shot.
Yeah, he is kind of being antagonistic, like Devin's saying. Like Devin's like, I think Tem just wants to secure more work at all costs. So he's getting it out in the public, like, hey, Kathy, hey, Lucasfilm, hey, Dave John, I'm out here still.
Yeah, and like, it would feel weird to me just in terms of like storytelling if he wasn't in the movie. Like, I don't know. Like, if we're gonna,
dude, he should have been in fucking Season 3 for Christ's sakes. I know he's I'm not Mandalorian, but come on, when you need a helping hand, Boba owes Din at least one or two. So
yeah. So
right.
I don't know if there. I don't know if there's any truth to what he's saying about like there really being an internal feeling that the character of Boba Fett is colored differently now because of the portrayal of the show. But if that's the case, then it just goes to show further that, like, as much as we want to believe that like these fan hate campaigns and all this negativity and toxicity isn't affecting the decision making at the top,
of course it does.
If that's true, then that's just proof point positive that it does.
Yeah. Like, no, of course it goes into your point, man. Like, the common man, if they see a bad review or hear about bad buzz, they're not going to tune in. And that's loss of revenue, lost dollars. So that 100% informs the decision making here. And it's a bummer because these two characters together on screen are pretty fucking fun to watch. In fact, we'll be talking about them when we do our big battle rank off tier style, because we included the Battle of Mos Espa in there. So, yeah, who knows? It does seem like Boba Fett should be in a movie with another Mando wearing a helmet. This could be Tem being Tem, or he's just being honest and saying, hey, Boba's dead, Disney hates him. In fact, when Seth from Beyond the Dune Sea was on the show a few months ago, we got into this exact topic, and Seth is the one that kind of brought up. He's like, I think Disney has something against Boba Fett. And we have a short out there. You can go check it out. Instagram.com/StarWarsTime.show or YouTube.com/Star Wars Time Show. All right, my friend, we have made it to the main event. That's right, people. For the first time on the SWTS, we're taking from the younger generations I don't quite understand this tier shit that you all get into, but we're doing it. We got S tier. That means the best, even though it's red. Red usually means bad, but it's good in tier land. We've got A tier, B tier, C tier, D tier. And we have been tasked with taking the 24 big battles of Star Wars. Think you know them. They'll just start flowing off the top of your head, go through the eras, starting with the Battle of Naboo, right? Then we got the Battle of Geonosis, the Battle of Coruscant, and on and on and on. So Nick and I, we're going to debate this. We're going to rank them. We're going to tier it out. And hopefully by the end, it's not 10 o'clock. We're still alive and we haven't aged another 10 years. But you fans, we're not going to leave you out. If you want to get involved, remember, we have a live poll going right now that I need to click on again somewhere. Give me a second. I'll get it popped up for you. But we have a live poll running for probably the next 18 hours or so that you can vote yourself. We already have 27 people voting right now. Let's check out the total results here, Nick. It hasn't changed much, although the Battle of Yavin has made it up into the S tier. So right now the fans have Hoth, Endor, Naboo, Scarif, Yavin, Siege of Mandalore, the conflict on Mandalore, and still a huge surprise to me, the Battle of Crate, all in the S tier. Our only A tier so far, Nick, the Battle of Coruscant that kicks off Revenge of the Sith. All right, my friends, the fans have 19 hours left to vote. Like I said, once that's over, I'll go ahead and dump the graphics on our social media so you can kind of see how things shuck out. And when Nick and I are done, we will also post our finished board here. So if you're on the live stream, we've got our board up. This should work live, but it is a Star Wars time show, so we will probably have some technical glitches and something might blow up. And I might say a few more F words. But without further ado, here we go, buddy. I'm going to just go off the order of the icons. I think they're mostly still in chronological order, but they do look a little fucked up, which will be nice.
Okay.
So our first one to kind of decide here, Battle of Naboo. Let me just kind of set this one up. I do have some notes here, at least in my mind. What makes a top-notch Star Wars battle? Well, I believe it has to have at least 2 to 3 fronts or plot threads taking place. For example, we have a spaceship battle going on, a ground force battle going on, and then some sort of dual or more personal mission interaction taking place. That, to me, Nick, if a battle checks all 3 of those boxes, it's a good chance it's going into the S tier or A tier. If it doesn't have all those, then I don't believe it can be an A or S. Or maybe that's just reserved from S. We'll see what you think. But that's kind of how I am going into this, because I when I think of a Star Wars battle and the ones that really are very memorable, they usually have something going on in the sky, the ground, and then with the whoosh whoosh laser swords. All right.
Yes.
So with that in your little head there, Battle of Naboo. Right, we've got the battle taking place out there in the plains of Naboo. We've got the space battle with the Trade Federation ship versus the pod of N1s, and then we have one of the best lightsaber duels going on as well between Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, and Maul. Hell, yeah. you could even add, we've got a 4th thread with Padme, Panaka, and the rest trying to capture Newt Gunray.
Infiltrate.
Infiltrate. Battle of Naboo has 4 concurrent threads going on, but Jar Jar is involved. So what do you say for Battle of Naboo?
So for me, if I look at all the pieces of it, right, I think that 2 of the 4 pieces are good to me.
Okay.
I think that the Duel of Fates is obviously just like some next level Star Wars battle type of stuff. And I think that the storming of the castle was pretty interesting too. It was dynamic. There was a lot of movement. There was a lot of it felt frantic like that for some reason that like Panaka and Padme and storming that castle felt frantic. And it felt like if this doesn't work, all else fails, right? Like even if the battle is won on the ground and we can't retake the castle, then it's still a loss. So it felt impactful there. The ground battle is one of those ones where it was just like too buffoonish for me to really.
No, Jar Jar, don't do that, Boba.
It was so.
He gets a droid stuck to his leg and he's shooting people with it, trying to kick it off. Come on.
And then, like, the beginning of that battle, if you watch it, is literally just laser bolts bouncing back and forth off those shields. Like, it was, and like, it was such a weird visual, like, visual mishmash.
All right, so what are you thinking here?
I'm thinking
BCBAS.
I would probably put the Battle of Naboo in B tier.
Ooh, okay. I'm gonna have to challenge you on that. There's no way that's going in the B tier. Absolutely not. We already mentioned it has 4 threads, so that's one more than I said for A or S tier. So I think at minimum, Naboo shows up in the A tier. And let me make my case for S. And it goes beyond just what you see on the screen. The Duel of the Fates itself, just the fucking music. Almost earns this battle S tier, okay? The lightsaber duel, one of the best, if not, top 3, the best ever duel in Star Wars. It's got that. The ground battle with the Gungans, you know what? Considering the time, the era the movie was made, the fact that that's all CG, that's impressive. So I'm going to give it a little bit of credit for that. And then, like you said, Padme's is going well, so I really think at worst Naboo goes in A tier, Nick. I am not letting you put in the B tier. But since you said B, I said S, I think that averages it down to at least an A here. So
okay. We can go.
I will settle on Battle of Naboo as A tier. All right.
And what we may need to do after this is done is look at each tier and be like, there's no way that this is the same as this, because that's going to happen.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Yeah. All right. The next one I'm looking at right here, the Battle of Coruscant. So let me set this up again. This is, in my opinion, one of the strongest openings of a Star Wars movie, the beginning of Revenge of the Sith with the doom, 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 dun, and then we got the boys flying in and the ETAs, and, then you get into some of the cheesy, stupid dialogue, and they, crash on the ship, a lot of goofy stuff there. But we do have the Dooku murder. We have the rescue of Palpatine. We have Grievous jumping out of the ship, and then Anakin landing it safely with his soon-to-be master on board. So it doesn't quite check the ground battle category there. We do get some duels. We get some personal battles, and obviously we get some great space and music action. So if I had to start things off here with the Battle of Coruscant, Nick, this one to me, I would probably start at the B. So what say you?
Yeah, my thought was also B. I feel like this one is equally balanced between like really cool moments and also just some real campy bullshit, right? Like that when they get caught in the ray shields and that terrible line, right. Like the Palpatine, yeah.
Oh, dude, the opening gives a lot of grace to this battle. That's for sure.
It really does. Like, I feel like the visual aspect of it when you're first pushing into this battle as it opens up, you're like, oh my God, look at the scale. Look how cool everything looks. It is undoubtedly a chaotically cool looking battle that is happening in space. But there's like, even the buzz droid stuff gets a little wonky with like, he can't get the buzz droids off and they bust the ice, like the hydration unit, and it fogs up his thing. And like, there's a lot of campiness in this. So I think that B
this is
would
where
be
the
an
fun
appropriate
begins.
Yeah. Just like some cheesy lines, some questionable things that are happening in terms of like, once they get on the ship, I would say overall B tier, but after assessment later, maybe after a second look, it may move, but I think that B is a good starting point.
All right. Yeah, I think we can start this one at B. Just for the pure opening itself until they crash on the Grievous's ships, that it gets B just for that. All right, Good stuff there. Well, kind of sticking with the Clone Wars era, really the end of the Clone Wars here. The next one we have to debate is the Siege of Mandalore, Nick. So this took place during the final season of the Clone Wars. It technically played out over 3 episodes. Ahsoka was called back. Bo-Katan wanted her help. She rejoined her Jedi buddies and Rex and got her own 332nd Legion with the orange face paint, and they rocket themselves down on the Mandalore, start kicking the Mandalorians' asses, chase Maul into the sewer, and we lose Captain Vaughn, but by the end, Ahsoka does capture Maul after he taunts her with the truth about her former master and how he is the key to the galaxy falling to the dark. So it's one of the more memorable arcs of the Clone Wars. It gets very... I don't think we can count or we could if you want to, the last episode where Order 66 kicks in and we have all that take place on that Venator where Rex is about to kill her. She gets the chip out and then they literally have to fight against all of his buddies with Jesse leading them. So if you want to include that, I think it's going to amp Siege of Mandalore even more. I will leave that to you to decide.
Yeah. I mean, for me, this is already S tier.
Okay.
This is already S tier. The stakes are as high as they've ever been in terms of animated Star Wars. Unquestionably, it's the highest stakes that we've ever seen in an individual battle. The lightsaber combat between Ahsoka and Maul is again some of the best that I remember seeing in animated Star Wars. Even the
beginning of the duel, like the shit talking, where he's literally telling her the truth, and she's like, "Fuck you lying piece of crap."
Yeah, like even going into the sewers where you have the Mandalorians. I feel like every front of this battle was top tier, and the stakes were high. The action was top tier. There was no like weirdness happening everywhere. To me, this is S tier. This is S tier material.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not even going to argue with you on this because it really, the final season of Clone Wars is an absolute gem. We'll be talking about another battle from that era coming up here in Axis, but the Siege of Mandalore, I know a predominant portion of the fan base consider it to be some of the greatest Star Wars storytelling of all time. In fact, I believe certain parts, if not all episodes, are included in that, Revenge of the Sith mega movie where it folds in shit from Clone Wars, now from, Siege of Mandalore, the movie itself, obviously. So yeah, it's hard to argue that the Siege of Mandalore is anything less than S.
Yeah.
So they're going 100%. Right up there. Snips and Maul are first S tier. So just to recap, for anyone tuning in live here, we're going through the 24 big battles of Star Wars. We're ranking them out into tiers. So far, we have added the Siege of Mandalore to S tier. S is the best. Battle of Naboo sitting at A tier, and then the Battle of Coruscant has slid down to the B tier. Next up, young Nick, we have this one is called the Skirmish on Wayland, and this would be the Clone Force 99's attack on Tantus base, Omega attacking it from the inside with the Zillo Beast, them fighting against their evil version, their clone versions that Hemlock had up there, and essentially taking down Project Necromancer.
Yeah, this one for me is obvious. Like, my opinions on season 3 of Bad Batch are well known. I wasn't a big fan, and I feel like a lot of what really skewed me to being like, man, this season could have been much better is because of the final battle. While there were stakes there, and I feel like a lot of the stakes were missed. I feel like the Zillo Beast part of it was almost like an afterthought, that it's just like, okay, well, this thing just broke out and ran away, and there were split fronts that didn't seem to really come together at any point. There was so much happening on the outside and not enough happening on the inside. And it just felt like this was made scatterbrained. And it came across in how this showed up on screen for me personally. If I had to put this somewhere, and it's like, in knowing what we have left on the docket,
it doesn't matter. I mean, we can have multiple S tier, A tier, B tier.
Oh yeah. Oh, there's definitely going to be multiple in every tier, but I'm straight away leaning that this is low C, high D to me.
Okay, all right. With that knowledge and tone, Nick, I think I'll help us get us to a firm tier level. Okay. And I'm with you too. Like I enjoy the Bad Batch. I think it was a good series. Final season definitely, in my opinion, left way too many open threads with the clones, the named clones. As you said, there was almost zero stakes in this skirmish in the end. Like, no one really suffered but the bad guys. So it was a Miller time type of episode. Miller time. Bunch of bad shit happens, but the good guys still win. It really didn't get great until the end when, Crosshair had his redemption with Hemlock and they get Omega back. So, and the good guys kind of looked like bozos. I mean, they just got their asses kicked pretty much the entire time. Just looked like dummies. I honestly think, what's her name? Not Lama Sue. Nala Se was probably the best part of the episode because she's the one that ensured Project Necromancer was going to be delayed for a few decades. So, Nick, you know what? I'm not even going to worry about C. I think this battle is a D. It's a strong D.
I agree.
All right.
I agree.
There you go. Skirmish on Wayland. Sorry, Clone Force 99. You're our first bag of shit. You are in the D tier, my friends. Eat it.
Welcome to the D tier.
Well, yeah, Sir Dork, you're not wrong. I did just say that. I mean, the Rampart got it up to like a D minus. Otherwise, it would have been an off the chart tier.
Yeah. It would have been, it would have been an X tier all the way down the bottom.
All right, Nick, we're going to make a return to live action, back to the movie wing of Star Wars. Not a Skywalker film, but set in their era. And I'm talking about the Battle of Mimban. We get to see young Solo kind of forced into service. You kind of get for the first time the perspective of the Imperial grunts and what life was like for them on the front lines. He's questioning, why are we even fighting these people? No wonder they hate us. It's their planet. I mean, he's like, what the fuck is the Empire about? He gets to meet Woody's character. I can't believe I forget all these names now. Like, I think my dementia has started. Beckett. Yeah, he gets to meet Beckett and Beckett's crew. But more importantly, this is where Han Solo and Chewbacca form their lifelong bond. It looked great. It was fun. It was, they kind of pretended that, they had to pretend they were Imperial soldiers. Han wants to help them out. But really just the Wookiee interaction, finding Chewie, their friendship forms there, kind of elevates this battle just a bit, Nick. So what do you think of the Battle of Mimban from Solo?
Yeah, so for me on this one, the big thing is that you really didn't get to see a lot of the battle itself.
Yeah, you just see Han get blowed up.
Yeah, it's like you're seeing like Han get thrown around this muddy battlefield a lot. Like you're staring.
We do get the mud troopers from this battle.
Yeah, so you get the mud troopers, which is nice, but you're mostly staring at the battlefield through like a haze. Like you don't even really see the enemy combatants. There's, like you said, like Han isn't even really fighting. He's just getting tossed from explosion to explosion and then just running around to try to save his own life. To me, the addition of like if we're looping in the Chewie Han in the pit fight into this, then it almost like, man, it's so hard because I want to put this in C, but because of the Chewie and Han stuff, I feel like it needs to be a little bit higher. But my initial reaction to this is C, just because it's all chaos and like you don't really have any appreciation for the battle because you're not really seeing it.
Yeah, I think those are all valid points. I would just, not to try to tip your rating here, but the fandom has really seemed to latch on to the Battle of Mimban, especially like in toy photography, the Mud Trooper design, the Stormtroopers in black capes, the Chewie Han interaction. It was just kind of fun. I mean, even with Beckett and his crew and the way they interact with Han, it was kind of fun. So I would be okay putting this one into B if you want to start there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with B because of the inclusion of the Chewie stuff.
And that's the only reason I think it gets to B.
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
I agree.
Okay. Battle of Mimban, moving up there with Coruscant into the B tier. All right. Okay. The next one we have here is what I'm calling the Battle of Lothal. I think it goes by a different name. Essentially, this is Ezra banishing Thrawn and himself to Peridia, giving the rebel cells, the Phoenix Squadron in particular, their first big victory, and more or less showing rebels around the galaxy, proving to Mon Mothma, like, yes, we can do this. We just had a tiny cell of ragtag motherfuckers take out the Chimera, and Grand Admiral Thrawn. If you remember, there's some emotions behind it. It's only a few episodes after the death of Kanan, so Ezra's all fucked up still, and he feels like, hey, this is what I got to do. This is what Kanan would do. Sabine's all bummed out because, Ezra just kind of slinks away as they're planning and goes off on his own, and then he makes the ultimate sacrifice to call in the Purgils and get them all sucked out to what we learned was Peridia. So not necessarily a massive battle. I mean, there's a lot of ground shit going on with Hera and Zeb and the like and Callus. But what Ezra did and the importance to the beginning of the full Rebel Alliance, and then ultimately we get payoff in the Ahsoka series, I think this is a worthy battle in Star Wars. I just don't know tier-wise. So Nick, go ahead and kick us into it. Yeah,
my initial lean is A tier here. I think
a big moment, if anything.
Yeah, like it's at minimum A tier to me. It's a very impactful battle in terms of stakes, like you mentioned. Like the stakes are high. If this battle goes wrong, then like, hey, maybe the rebellion doesn't even survive.
Could be it. It would have taken out one of its biggest cells in Phoenix.
Yeah, like if this fails, the faith in the rebellion is crushed before you even get to Luke Skywalker, and very possibly you see the slow fading of the rebellion back into obscurity. So I think that the stakes are high. I think that the personal angle of this, especially from Phoenix Squadron, more specifically Ezra and his showdown with Thrawn, increases that as well. And like you said, the ultimate sacrifice, like it's always more impact. I mean, ultimate sacrifice now is a little bit different because both of them are alive. But I would say that this is it's a high A for me.
Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of in between A and B. I think we could put it at an A for these reasons here. Well, if you remember the Ahsoka series, I believe episode 1, it's literally a celebration of what Phoenix Squadron did for Lothal. Like, they have an annual fucking party to celebrate the victory of the Battle of Lothal and what Ezra did. I mean, he's essentially a folklore hero, along with Sabine and the rest that helped free Lothal from Imperial control. So it's a huge moment for the galaxy, if anything. And I'm with you, B-Man, and everyone. It wasn't a traditional battle, but the meaning of the battle and what it did for the Rebel Alliance and how bad it fucked the Empire. Imagine if Thrawn was still around with his 3 Star Destroyers. Yeah, it's game the fuck over. Like the Battle of Yavin doesn't happen. Battle of Scarif doesn't happen. Like, none of this shit happens. So with that being said, Nick, I think we can bump the Battle of Lothal to an A.
I think it's safe. Yeah, I think it's because it's such a turning point battle, and if it would have gone the other way, it could have just spelled the end.
Yeah, it's
for the rebellion.
Its impact on the galaxy at that time was massive.
Yeah,
either way, like you said, it depending on how it played out, we know what it did to the Empire. It probably, like you said, would have vanquished the Rebel Alliance not soon after.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. Yeah, don't worry, League. We have 24 battles. I think we're moving at a good clip here.
We're gonna get through.
I'm kind of liking this pace. Here's a good one. It kind of comes right after the Battle of Lothal, Nick, and this is a good one, and we'll see where this goes. But the Battle of Scarif. So again, setting this one up, it's got a lot of the key ingredients for a great battle, right? We got space action going on. We've got in-atmosphere dogfights going on. We've got a ground battle going on. Then we've got the personal mission with Jyn, K2, and Cassian trying to get the plans. Death Troopers, Shore Troopers, AT-ATs. I mean, my goodness, U-Wings, Blue Squadron flying through planetary shields, Vader showing up out of hyperspace as a shield wall with rebel ships blowing up on it, and then the fucking hallway scene.
I mean, the hallway, and then
do we
also
even need to debate this one?
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is an S tier. I think this is straight up S, and we even left out all of the sacrifices on the ground.
Yes.
I mean, you're talking about everybody.
The emotional moment. The Force is with me.
I'm with. Yeah, like everything. Bodhi going down, Baz going down, everybody going down for the cause. you see what happens to Blue Squadron and why there's no Blue Squadron in the OT. The stakes are as high as they've ever been. You're stealing
ramming
the Death Star
speed,
plans.
like that Rebel blockade runner rams into a Star Destroyer, like literally crashes it into another Star Destroyer to blow up the shield. Visually, it's amazing. The fucking Death Star shows up and it's like hemisphered, it's half crested, and it's 75% blast the planet. This could be one of the greatest, if not top 3, top 1, top 2 battles out there. So yeah, I really don't. I don't think there's any need for further discussion here.
Yeah,
Battle Scare, an easy S tier, like easy, not even close.
Yes.
Okay. Here's another good one.
This next one is
another good one. This is tough.
This one's gonna be hard.
All right, the Battle of Yavin, the first battle of battles, if we really think about it. This is the first one we ever got to see. Depending on your generation, you probably still should have seen this one first. It is limited in its scope. I wanted to say, hey, could we include kind of the Death Star escape as part of the battle? I think not. They're two separate events. Because if we could bring in the Death Star escape, we do get a duel between Obi-Wan and Vader. We do get, run around the Death Star trying to get out.
There's too much time.
Yeah, that's what I'm with you. I'm with you. So we're just purely the snub fighters against the Death Star. Nick, what say you? Big moment, like big moments here. Some of the most memorable moments of Star Wars. Lots of video games made from this battle.
The stakes are the highest.
Yeah,
it's the highest.
This is it.
If they're
rounding that moon to blow you the fuck up.
If you don't win, it's over. It's over. And I will say that of all of these battles here, the tension in this one to me was the highest.
Dun 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 dun.
It's so hard to not put this in S.
Dude, I'm getting like fucking THO just thinking about it. Like I'm literally like right? I just goosebumped up. Like
you get the feelings,
Force, Luke. I mean, come on.
And it's like you get people are dying left and right. People are getting taken out.
Wedge, like, you've done enough here. Gotta go home, bro.
You gotta get out of Porkins goes down. Like what? It is the literal David versus Goliath.
That's awesome.
It is the highest stakes. If this is a loss, it's over. The Empire has won. The galaxy is screwed forever. And it just like when you hit the trench run and it's just chills the whole time. You get the Obi-Wan voice coming in, and then
all the
he's
music.
Turned off his targeting computer.
Okay, I'm watching this movie tonight.
It's S tier. I know it doesn't have the multiple battlefronts, but it's S to me.
For nostalgia
it's S tier
alone, huh? Okay.
I think that's it for me.
Yeah, I mean. I can't really argue against that. Even though it goes against my mantra of what makes something a top-notch Star Wars battle, because it clearly is it's just a dogfight. But it's the moments. It's like you said, the David and Goliath. It's the coming of age of Luke. It's Luke really snatching his destiny by the nuts and running with it, literally. And then Han coming out of nowhere with the save. Like, you're all clear, kid. Now let's blow this thing and go home. I mean, anytime I see that shit, to this day, I've probably seen this movie 500 times. To this day, I get emotional. Just thinking about it, just talking about it. I'm like, yeah, yo! And seeing that thing fucking blow up. And then there comes Red 5 and the Falcon and like 2 random Y-Wings that had thumbs up their asses. What the fuck were they doing, Nick? Why couldn't they help Luke out? They're just orbiting the Death Star like dickheads. Screw you, yellow leader. But yeah, man, it's tough not to make this S tier. It's our fucking sign-off, right? When I say, may the Force be with you. Always. That's fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi talking to Luke in Red 5. Let's go. S tier.
Yeah. S tier.
Done. I'm with you. Battle of Yavin. S tier. All right, real quick recap here. So far, ranking our 24 best battles of Star Wars. In the S tier, the best tier, we have Scarif, Siege of Mandalore, Battle of Yavin. A tier, Battle of Naboo, Battle of Lothal. B tier, Battle of Coruscant, Battle of Mimban. C tier is open. D tier, our big loser of the day so far, is the skirmish on Wayland from Bad Batch Season 3. All right, up next, We're in the big ones now, bro. This is just going to be like a love fest going on. S tier. You get an S tier. You get an S tier. You get an S tier. But we're talking about probably the most synonymous battle when someone says Star Wars battle, and that is the Battle of Hoth.
Yeah. This is what inspired the Battle of Scarif. Just think about it. Like, this is what inspired the Battle of Scarif. You have in air or in atmosphere space combat with your snow speeders flying around, tethering the AT-ATs. You have ground battles. You have the people running out on the ground. You have the turbo lasers on the ground. You have ground to air or ground to space battles with the ion cannons shooting up at the Star Destroyers to allow escape. I mean, and then you also have the incursion into the base in the underground.
Vader himself.
Yeah, like the big man is on the field of
Falcon's
battle.
Falcon's busted. It won't start. They can't get out. Start. He's coming. He's going to get them. They lay down the E-Web cannon just as they pull out.
Yeah, like tension is high. I mean,
Luke's blown up.
Speeder goes down. He's got to bust out the lightsaber.
He takes out an AT-AT by himself. I mean, yeah, it's
S tier. It's S tier.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it like I said, I mean, when you say, hey, what's your favorite Star Wars battle? 9 out of 10 fans are, without thinking, going to say the Battle of Hoth, because it is the most iconic battle. And I think it's because of the AT-ATs. It really, I mean, it is for me. I mean, the Battle of Hoth is S just for those fucking armored transport vehicles. Period.
And it's crazy, too, because, like, if you look, the Battle of Hoth is a loss. It's a loss.
It's an absolute beatdown.
Yeah.
Like the Rebel Alliance is almost completely vanquished after that battle. They get decimated.
Yeah, and it's still the best. I mean, like the introduction of the AT-ATs, you even get the AT-STs in there too.
The snow speeders, again, an awesome new vehicle.
Yeah. And dude, like the first time you see that snow speeder successfully tether that leg and that thing just slow motion come down, blows up. It's like you're just like, yeah, they got him. Like it just the reaction of the actual like the rebel troopers when it happened. They're on the battlefield, like, yeah, we got him. Like it's such an iconic moment.
Great stuff.
Not even in Star Wars history, just cinematic history.
Yeah, exactly. And then you really, to cap it off, R2 pilots Red 5 and picks up Luke's dead ass to take him to Dagobah. So, yeah, man. I mean, that's we even probably talked too long on that one. Battle of Hoth is S of S. It doesn't have as many ingredients as Scarif, but it's damn close. And it's probably better because it was the first. All right, next one here. Well, this one's going to be near and dear to me, but the Battle of Endor. This one has all the checks, right? We got space battles going on. We got ground battles with furry fucking things. Chief Matlu made his name at the Battle of Endor until he got vanquished. And then, obviously, we probably have the greatest moment between father and son. It's my favorite scene in all of Star Wars. You've got the duel in the throne room on the Death Star. Really, the Battle of Endor has all the great ingredients, fantastic space work, great ground battle, and then a very deep, emotional, and really game-changing lightsaber duel.
Yeah, I think like I was thinking to myself, I was like, I think this is what Matt built the criteria off of is this battle here. And I think you're right though. It's one of those ones that like while the like you're down and out from the go, right? Like
it was a trap. Everything was a trap. Endor was a trap. Yeah. The space battle was a trap. Bringing Luke on the fucking Death Star, trap.
Yeah. It was like you were set, like the rebellion was set up for failure, and it is the ultimate show of perseverance. It's the ultimate show of spirit over, large odds against you, and just that moment in the throne room where where Luke's there next to the Emperor. He's looking out the window. He's like, "Your forces are defeated and broken." Like, just the it's S tier.
Yep, he foresaw it all, Nick, as he told him. Yeah, I mean, listen, this is my movie, so it should be no surprise to anyone. And we are right. The 3 battles of the OT are 100% S tier. Yavin, Hoth, and Endor, like you can't fuck with them. They're the OGs of Star Wars battles. It doesn't get any better than that. There is no reason to even keep talking about the Battle of Endor. It's an easy S. Beautiful. All right, love it. Okay.
The next one is going to be, this is gonna be not a lot of people are going to know about this one.
So the next one is the Battle of Jakku. It is a real battle. Obviously, it's mentioned in TFA. We see the fallout from it. I believe it's kind of fleshed out in some of the books they tried to create around this era. But Nick, I know it's covered in Battlefront 2 in some capacity, right? At least Operation Cinder and how it all plays out. So this battle is different than pretty much everyone we've just discussed. It is predominantly told through different mediums, being video games or cartoons. I know it's in like the Lego Freemaker Adventures series there towards the end. But predominantly the Battle of Jakku has been fleshed out in either novels or video games, with Battlefront and Battlefront 2 kind of running with it. So with that knowledge in tow, what do you say?
Yeah. And like trying to be agnostic of medium, my thought on the Battle of Jakku is it's the death knell of the Empire. Right. It's like this is their end.
It's the last stand.
Is their true. Yeah,
this is what, like
end.
4 or 5 years after the Battle of Endor still.
After Endor. So to me, like, even if this battle doesn't happen, the Empire is still over. It takes more time to root out the individual, like the individual cells, the individual like squadrons of battleships and stuff like that. But it's not necessarily like if the Battle of Jakku doesn't happen, then the Empire survives. I think the Empire is still dead. Playing through it in Battlefront 2 was fun, but it is a very limited scope battle. You're only on Jakku. You're talking, and again, like it's pretty much like a beatdown. Like, so I'm leaning C tier here. I think this may be our first C tier.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed dropping this down to the green in the D, just because it is so lightly fleshed out in moving images. I just fuck it. I don't want to have to use my brain to make. To imagine what these things look like. I want to live it. I want to see it. I want to see it play out. I think if this battle was captured in a show, it would be fucking epic, because you're going to see nothing but vessels raining down this planet from all the carnage taking place up in the atmosphere. So Nick, I'm with you. It's easy C, but I think we could drop it to D if you want to kick it in the balls.
Let's do C for now, and then we might do a reassessment. I can tell
you don't like that row being open, so we'll give C a friend there. There you go.
It's making me itchy.
It's an important battle. It signifies the official end of the Empire. So it does have a little bump over the skirmish on Wayland, I think. So I'll give it to you.
Yeah, that's the only reason for me that it hits C.
All right. I know Nick doesn't love this movie, but I think this battle is pretty special, pretty important. So I'm very interested to see where he goes with this. But I'm talking about the one that started it all, the Clone Wars that Obi told Luke about, and that is the Battle of Geonosis, starting in the arena, then bleeding out into the fields of Geonosis, all the way to the multiple duels with Dooku, Yoda, Obi-Wan, Anakin. It's got a lot of shit in there.
It does. So, it's chock-a-block full.
What say
it's
you?
The death of Jango Fett.
Death of Jango. The first time we've ever seen that amount of Jedi on screen. The first time we see the clones in action. You see Mace running out with his battalion. I mean, it's a visual eye fuck in a good way. Yoda circling the troops. We see Yoda fight for the first time with a lightsaber. Anakin loses his arm. So. Lots of upside. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, the Battle of Geonosis is pretty fucking strong.
Battle of Geonosis is an impactful battle. It's the first time that the clones are introduced ever. It's the introduction of the clone forces that will help the Republic sustain themselves in battle and then ultimately turn on them and lose the entire war for them. to me, it's just like there are moments in here that are like unforgivably bad. Like there's just it's just
waving
watching some of
lightsabers at the air.
Like watching some of these Jedi on this field literally spinning their lightsabers at nothing. And like I'm talking in the movie, they're spinning their lightsabers at nothing. Like they just cut to people.
Oh yeah, I'm doing it right now. Like this is what it looked like. They're just like
like just spinning it, and there's not even anybody around them. Because we are including the battles with Dooku and the fact that Jango Fett is killed in this makes me say that this is minimum B tier. But I'm trying to see, like, I do not think that it is as good as Lothal. I do not think that it is as good.
I don't know. It's good. Like, I think it's on the same level for different reasons. I mean, again, just visually, it's a bigger battle than even Naboo or what we saw in Lothal. So it's kind of got those checks there. Some major things happen, like you said, big characters dying, Anakin losing arms, Yoda whipping out the lightsaber, doing his aerials. I would probably argue for Geonosis to be an A, unless you really want to fight it.
I could see an argument why. It's just I watched that and I'm just like, gosh, like I understand that CGI was new and you were super excited, George, but like can't it look better? Like it just looks so bad. Like it just looks so bad.
Well, try to go back to like 2002, young Nick Caminita seeing it when you didn't know that looked bad.
I know. And that's the thing is like if I go back to when I was a kid, the first time I saw Yoda flipping around and fighting Dooku, I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. But now I go back and watch it, and I was like, this is a CGI vomit mess when you're in the arena. Like it's almost unwatchable. Like the only parts in the arena that are actually not bad are Mace running at Jango and cutting his head off. And then like, dude, the fact that Anakin like lassos that fucking whatever it was,
the reek,
and then rides it like that, that reek, and then rides it like a horse around, and is like just swinging at people on the ground with his looks so fucking bad. Like I don't know. Like my opinion is B tier. If you want to put it in A tier, it's fine. But yeah,
I think I'm gonna. If I get one pass, I think I'm going to use it here. And, like you said, you wanted to do a final assessment, maybe shift one or two. So I'll let you shift one during that. I think I am going to go ahead and put this one in A.
Okay. That's fine. There is impactful moments. There's no doubt about that. Like the clone showing up, like the death of Jango Fett, the mauling of Anakin Sky. Anakin loses his hand.
D tier,
like
C tier. Fuck you, Attack of the Clones.
But it's just like because of how bad that entire scene in the stadium was. It's like, oh my God. It's really hard. It's really hard.
All right. Well, we'll keep it in A for now. When we reassess, like, if there's another one that I'm like, nah, I have more love for that, then I'll let you kick this one out. But
okay.
I think it's got enough merit in my mind to go A. It's very surface level merit, Nick. It's not like deep quality merit, but it's there's a lot of check boxes this one gets through. So there you go, people. That was a good one. All right. This will be interesting. But we've got the Battle of Mos Espa. So this is essentially the finale of the Book of Boba Fett, where he's holding down his new little town with Din, Chrysanthemum, all the other, Fennec, all the other cast of characters, the Vespa, Technicolor gang. A fucking Rancor shows up. Grogu comes back. There's some good action with Din and Boba. There's good action with the whole crew. Riding Rancors. Kind of Miller time, but it had some good visuals, good action. We got to see Mando Bros kind of team up for the first time outside of Tython. So I figured it was worth at least considering as a in this list of battles. But tier wise, I don't know. I will defer to you to start.
My initial thought on this is low C, and it's because it was it just felt so like, I don't know, man. It felt so disorganized, just even in terms of how it was presented on the screen. And the one thing that I cannot get over in this battle is at the end when Grogu tames this Rancor for some fucking reason.
Grogu has two saves in the battle, Nick. Two major saves the same way, essentially.
Yeah, and it's not cool. And like, this is one of the things that like I definitely agree with Tem on. It's like the entire series of this is like Boba wants a Rancor, Boba gets a Rancor. Boba is trying to build affinity with this Rancor and like really gain its trust and like become its master. And like in this battle, you allow Grogu to tame this thing for some reason and not Boba. It's a massive miss, like just in terms of character development and storytelling. Because ultimately in Grogu's arc, nobody gives a fuck about that. Like everybody has forgotten that Grogu did that.
Nick, you could argue Grogu even showing back up takes this down the D tier, because a lot of people think Grogu being brought back to the Mando fold that quickly not only ruined the moment between them and Mando season 2 E8, but it also took away from Boba Fett's series in general, because we essentially dedicated the last 3 episodes to Mando and Grogu stuff.
Yeah, so like I'm trying not to pull too far out into like the episodes that are next to it, and like
just focus really on the street fight here.
Yeah, like just on this, and still to me it's like C/D tier, because it just like, it didn't feel impactful. It didn't feel like there was any other way that this battle could go. Like it didn't feel like there was stakes to it.
There was the Cad Bane Boba, kind of showdown. That was a nice little end to it.
So we're including that. Then like it's CD to me, and I'll defer.
Yeah,
to you
no, I mean, listen, we're in line on this one. I don't have it any higher than a C myself. If we want to use our lone D tier candidate right now, the skirmish on Wayland,
as like the
I think
stick.
The Mos Espa fight is better than that for sure. It looks better. It does have some cool looking moments, even though some are a little janky or too convenient with the Grogu stuff. So I would not be opposed putting Mos Espa into C.
All right, yeah, let's do C tier. I agree with that assessment.
Okay, so the next one here, I think we're calling this the Conflict on Mandalore. So this is the finale of The Mandalorian S3. This is when Bo, the Armorer, Din, and gang, they essentially ultimately end up taking down Moff Gideon's base in Mandalore and reclaiming their planet for the first time in decades. We got Mandos flying around. For Nick, we had the destruction of the Darksaber. Gideon taken out, or was he? Was it a clone? Din and Grogu kind of growing in their relationship and relying on each other to help each other fight the Praetorian Guards. Paz's sacrifice. Well, I guess that was episode 7. So
yeah, that was.
I don't know if we can count Paz's sacrifice there, even though it was just like a continuation. So yeah, we'll put Paz's moment in there since it was the very end. So what do you think? I mean, a lot of cool visuals, a lot of firsts for live action Mandalorian type of stuff. So it has that going for it.
Yeah. I think for me, my initial lean is B.
Okay.
My initial lean is B because I think that the fight at the ultimate kind of crescendo of this battle with Din versus Moff Gideon just didn't feel as cool as it should, even though he was in that suit. Like, it felt kind of slow and plodding, which is always kind of how Din feels. I think that there were some cool moments of the battles. I obviously enjoyed seeing like the phalanx of flying Mandalorians coming in. There were cool moments. It was definitely a big moment for the Mandalorian people in terms of like, and again, like, this story is technically still unfinished, right? Like, there's still like,
she just took it back over. They just fired up the Great Kiln or whatever the hell it was called. Yeah. But yeah, and these days, we're probably not going to spend a lot of time on it. I could see him maybe checking in during the movie, just like, hey, Bo, how you doing? Things going all right over there? Fuck you. Grogu and I are doing our thing.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get him above Apprentice. You know, we're doing good, thanks, but I'm not coming back to that green glass piece of shit.
Yeah. I think for me, it sits in B.
D tier,
like
and the D is for Darksaber shouldn't be heavy.
Yeah.
I'm with you, man. No lightsaber should feel like a broadsword.
Yeah, it's like that was always annoying to me in the way that they justified it. It's just
you hated
dumb.
that shit.
Like it's just pure stupidity. I'm BC.
Okay.
That's me on this.
Well, you know what? I think for visuals alone and the moments for fans seeing Mandos in live action kind of do their thing for the first time, we can give it B.
Okay.
For you, Nick, it killed the Darksaber. So that, I mean, should be an automatic bump from C to B for you.
That's what it's like. I was always like, the fact that one people's entire history and progress in life is linked to one sword is so weird.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's a solid B, probably a low B. You know, B minus, but better than C. At least the two we had in C for sure. All right, an interesting one here. We're finally getting to the sequel trilogy now, and this is the Battle of Starkiller base. So this has some of the ingredients, right? We got the space battle. Mm-hmm. We got like a trench run happening. We've got the ground stuff going on with, you know, Rey. We got Han and his son. All that shit goes down. We get the duel in the woods with one of the greatest moments of the Star Wars saga, Rey pulling the family blade to her and getting the Force theme to kick off.
Yeah.
So for me, there's a lot of memorable moments in terms of a battle, though. What say you, young Nick?
I mean, everybody here knows how I feel about TFA. I'm a TFA softie. I really enjoy TFA. And the moments that you talked about, like I find the space battle aspect of this to be relatively mid. Like it's fine. Like there were some cool moments. There's obviously Poe's super cool looking X-Wing. You know, you get sprinklings of the space battle, but it's not the main course, right? Like that's the appetizer. The two things that make this A tier for me, and I'm going to say it's A tier, is the Han and Kylo stuff, which is heartbreaking, and the battle in the woods. Like it truly, and like I'm doing this in a way like I'm compartmentalizing. I'm not taking into account anything that comes before or after. I'm looking at the battle, at the aspects of the battle. Like if we're going to talk about Tross, that's not how we're grading this. This one to me is A tier because it shows Kylo is committed, right? Like he's committed to it. And the part in the forest where he's like hitting that wound.
That's what I was just doing. So people on the podcast, I'm not sitting here fapping myself. I was doing the Kylo like, yeah, bitch, let's go, Finn.
Yeah. Like that to me was like, this guy is badass. Like he's literally tapping into his own pain to stoke his anger and his strength and build his ability to battle. And like, that would have been debilitating for him. This dude got shot like right above
by
his hip.
Wookiee bowcaster.
Yeah, by a bowcaster. Like fucked up. Like I don't know, man. This is A tier to me. This one's A tier.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think it makes it all the way to S tier for sure. But those moments you just talked about to me are some of the most memorable in all of Star Wars. Han's death all the way up to Rey kind of awakening the Force fully within her and taking on a Skywalker blooded motherfucker. Her pulling the lightsaber, top 5 moment of all Star Wars for me, probably. It's just, I remember seeing it for the first time and getting all worked up, and those feelings have been diminished a little bit because, you know, like the prequels, I ultimately know once we get beyond this movie, it just, things kind of fall apart. But for this battle alone, I'm with young Nick. It's easy A tier. You could probably make an argument for low S, but I think A is the better tier right now.
Mando Mugshot says that those woods are right near his house.
All right.
Which is pretty awesome.
Love it. Yeah, over there across the pond in the UK, that's for sure.
Indeed.
Our list is looking kind of cool. Like if you're OCD like me, I almost don't want to touch it because it's got a very nice like tiered reverse staircase going on, Nick. Like, if you're like a visual analytics weirdo, I like the way it looks. So, show's over, bitches. We're out of here.
We're ending it here.
Just to recap before we enter into the last few movies: S tier so far: Battle of Scarif, Siege of Mandalore, Battle of Yavin, Battle of Hoth, Battle of Endor. A tier: Battle of Naboo, Battle of Lothal, Battle of Geonosis, Battle of Starkiller Base. B tier: Battle of Coruscant, Battle of Minbam, Skirmish on Mandalore. C tier: Battle of Jakku, Battle of Mos Espa, and still our lone D tier: poor Bad Batch, the Skirmish on Wayland. All right, moving into the last row here, Nick. Sticking with the sequel trilogy, Battle of Crate. Okay, not everyone's favorite movie. This is towards the tail end when people are like, all right, is this film ever going to end? But I think it's got some amazing visuals with the salt and the red earth. You obviously have the amazing moment before you know he's a ghost of Luke showing up, and just the cinematography around his duel with Kylo. Kylo's Moore moment is fucking classic, even though it's just a big meme now. The shot of Luke staring down the First Order that motivates the galaxy moving forward. Finn almost sacrificing himself. It has its moments. Even if it's in TLJ, which I don't hate, but I understand it's not everyone's favorite movie, so they automatically think everything in it kind of blows. But I do think the Battle of Crate has some good moments to it. Rey moving the rocks, finding Finn, rescuing the people, getting on the Falcon. The Resistance lives, and obviously Luke's death. So what say you, my friend?
Yeah, I mean, the visual aspect of this is really what, stands out the most to me. It's like that red dirt kicking up with those speeders and everything like that. My initial thought on this is B, because the battle with Kylo and Luke's really cool. I think that ultimately the ground battle is just kind of like a nothing burger, if I'm being honest. Like, they're running out and they're just
it's a suicide mission for sure.
Yeah, it's like they're just running. They're not even trying. Like, they're just like, they don't, like, instead of like holding up, or like, there's so many different ways that they could have approached that, and their thought was just like, just throw all these people at them to get fucking massacred and then hope something good happens. And the only reason that's a dub is because Luke shows up in ghost form and like distracts everybody long enough to let them run away. So like the ground aspect of this battle is really just the tense moment of Finn rolling up and then Rose knocking him off course. I think that the ground.
Yeah, the first time you see that, at least the first time I saw that, I was genuinely like, holy shit, they're gonna fucking kill Finn already. That's pretty bold considering what this movie has already done. So the first time, yes, it was a very like grip your seat. After the fact that it doesn't quite hold as strong because you know what's about to happen.
Yeah. So to me, I'm in between B and C tier for this one. Okay. I think it's better than both things in C tier, but that doesn't mean it can't be a high C. It's hard to put anything with Luke Skywalker in it in C, but even that was like, the moment was cool and I appreciate what was done, but it's like, it's like this like forced ghost cast thing. It's like he like forced, TV casted himself over to Crate to like do this fake battle with Kylo, and it like ultimately it was more of a distraction and like a making fun of Kylo thing than anything else. It was
100% a distraction. I mean, that's what he was doing. I mean, even Poe finally figured it out. He's like, oh fuck, he's giving us time to get the hell out of here. Let's go.
So like, and it was uncoordinated. Like it was. I mean, my thoughts on it are low B, high C. So I'll defer to you in terms of your thoughts.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it Luke, man. I mean, it's Luke.
Yeah,
it's not Luke.
And like,
it's Luke.
And people are saying D. There's a lot of people are saying D. Like I wouldn't even like I.
Sir Dork made this S tier.
Yeah, like I know that Jared really likes this, but like I would be okay with it being in D tier. If I was making a personal tier list, I might reorganize this to D after I did everything else. I'm glad
you asked, Nick, because we have a live poll going right now. It'll be open until like tomorrow afternoon. So if anyone wants to vote on it, we got the link right here in the chat, and I put them out on our social media. We will check it when Nick and I are done, but the fans are definitely different than us so far. All right, so you're thinking BC for the Battle of Crate, potentially D.
And I'm leaning more C for me, because really that battle was just the Luke thing.
Yeah. And you know what? I just put out the clip finally of us talking about how ridiculous Luke's death was on, just on pure face value. Although I put it out, it's interesting, all the people coming out and commenting and telling us that we don't know what we're watching. It's like, okay. Yeah, I think I could take Crate down to D, actually. I think I could do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's truly just a one. Like, it's not even a battle.
C. I'll give you C.
Okay, we can do C. I'm comfortable with C. But the thing is it's not even a battle. Like, calling it a battle is almost disingenuous. Yeah. Because it's like
it's a beat
down.
The
rebel. Yeah, like they just like find some bullshit on the ground that's already in this hangar, and they just suicide run it out.
Right.
And like they don't even do anything. Like
it's the heroism, Nick. They're being heroes. That's what heroes do. All right, now I think it's firmly in C. We could argue to drop it one more. I don't think it gets up to B though. Okay, I know Nick's gonna like this one. I might not quite be in line, but we'll see. And the next one is the Battle of Exegol. It's got the big moment, right? The arrival of literally everyone's ship in the galaxy that isn't part of the First Order. You've got Rey and Ben doing their thing with Palpatine. I guess Palpatine, the zombie fuck. You got that guy. You got the whole sky planet full of lightning. I am all the Jedi. That thing, even though it could have been executed better. What do you think? I mean, I know you love the moment. You love when Lando shows up. That's definitely like the...
When all the people show up is the one that always gets me. So I'm like, again, looking at this objectively, stakes are high stakes. The moments, the individual moments in it, like when the whole cavalry shows up, it like just hits me in that emotional spot the same way that like all of the portals opening up in Endgame do. Like, it's just when all of the friends show up to help those who are almost defeated, just hits me. BMAT, I can guarantee you this is not going to be D tier, so you can stop spamming it.
I'd put D tier.
It's, to me, this is B or A because because I enjoy the visual aspect of this fight with it being, it's one of the, like, I love seeing the lightning. I love the visual aspect of this fight.
Space horses, Bango's right. There's space horses in it.
You're fighting on the outside of a Star Destroyer against the Sith troopers. And again, like, I'm not thinking about the story surrounding it. I'm just thinking about the battle, which is the same thing that I have done for the other ones as well. I'm just looking at the elements of the battle. The elements of the crate battle were trash. That's why it's in C tier. The elements of this battle are far better than the elements of the crate battle, unquestionably. So to me, this is B tier. I will say that's my feeling on it. Like, if you compare this to crate and anything else in C, it's unquestionably better.
I'll give you that. I thought you were going to try to put it into A or S, and I was like, no, there's no shot in hell. This does not sniff S tier. And the only way I'd let you put it into A tier is because you let me put Geonosis in the A tier. That would be our trade. Yeah,
I think that
I'll
this
put
is
that
better
offer
than the
out
Battle
there.
of Geonosis.
The offer's out there, young Nick. If you want Exegol in A tier, you can have it because you gave me Geonosis. Otherwise, I'd be dropping it easy into B.
I'll take it in B.
Okay.
I'll accept a B tier rank for this one.
All right.
I understand that there are a lot of circumstances around it that don't make it great. I do think that the Sith Eternals chanting like that whole thing inside of that is pretty cool, and then obviously the voices and stuff like that, a lot of nostalgia attached to it. But I'm okay with a B tier ranking here.
All right. Next up, these are a lot of Clone Wars, so I think we can probably get through these pretty quick. I don't even know if Nick remembers a lot of these. The first one, though, is pretty big, the Battle of Christophsis. And the reason it's big is this is the first battle outside of Geonosis that we got to see. It kicks off the Clone Wars movie, and more importantly, it's the introduction of Ahsoka Tano as Anakin's Padawan. Her and Rex don't really hit things off to start, and really this is where Ahsoka's journey begins. Plus, it looks cool. You got all the clones. They're Phase 1 in it, and it started it all. I mean, without the Clone Wars movie, we don't get the Clone Wars series, so on and so forth. So, it's got some merits. I don't know how memorable it is because it does come from the Clone Wars movie, just like the next battle we're about to talk about. So, kicking it over to you, we can probably do these quicker than the ones we have more and fresh knowledge on. Battle of Christophsis.
Yeah, I mean, from my recollection of this, I haven't seen the Clone Wars movie in such a long time. Like, it was cool. It was very early Clone Wars animation. A lot of it was very stiff.
Literally, the movie. Yeah. This is from the movie.
Yeah, it's from the theatrical release of it. It was early animation. It felt a little stiff. The stakes of this battle were not very high. It did introduce Ahsoka Tano. I would put this in probably B tier. I would probably say it's like a mid-tier battle.
I think just for the fact that we get to see Anakin have to deal with a Padawan in a battle scenario for the first time, and kind of how contentious all that was. And then, by the end, they've kind of figured out their bond, and we know what that grows into and how much people love it now. So yeah, I could do Christophsis in B.
Okay.
All right. Next one, same movie. I think this is the 501, but the Battle of Teth, and this kind of gets a bump over Christophsis because the Battle of Teth also gets circled back to in the Ahsoka flashbacks. When the sky turns purple and he's in his armor telling her, like, yeah, let's run out. So, they gave it enough love to include it in those flashbacks. But Nick, this is the one where they literally get those, Clone Wars era AT-ATs, like AT-CTs, I forget what they're called. And they scale a mountain face with them and are literally fighting vertically to get to the top to rescue Jabba's son. It's predominantly Anakin and Ahsoka again. And you really, this is where Ahsoka kind of starts to come into her own with her master, General Skywalker.
Yeah, it's like, I feel like these are kind of like, I don't think that either one of these are A tier.
No.
I'll put it that way.
I'm with you.
Neither one of these are A tier, so I feel like they're both B, or Christophsis is C and this is B.
Let's do that, because this one does get circled back to in Ahsoka, so it had more meaning to the characters. I'm with you. So we're going to make our first shift of the board. See ya, Christophsis. Hello, Teth. All right.
Yes.
Teth to B, Christophsis to C. Next one here, Battle of Ryloth. So this is from the actual Clone Wars series. The reason this one is important, this is how we as fans and the Republic gets introduced to the Syndulla family with Cham. And, we know how important they are. They carry into the Bad Batch, they carry in the Rebels, they carry all the way up to the Ahsoka series. It took place over multiple episodes. It was a major campaign early in the Clone Wars. It's the first time that the Republic, through small forces of Jedi and clones, recruited locals to go against the CIS. And that was kind of the blueprint they started using throughout the war. So a lot of nuance. Is it that memorable outside of some of the character introductions and the bonds that are formed? I don't think so. This one also, though, was circled back to in the Ahsoka flashbacks.
Yeah, I mean, this one's really hard for me because I don't remember much of this one. I don't remember much of it. I've seen all the Clone Wars. I've seen all the Clone Wars twice. But I don't have a good recollection of it, so it's hard for me to really place it. Like, what is your initial thought on here?
I'm kind of where you're at. I'm in between a B and a C. I'd probably lean closer to C, to be honest with you. Because really, Mace Windu was involved, which kind of takes it to a C for me anyways, because I fucking hate that guy. Really, the big thing to me was Cham Syndulla, Hera's dad, and really how important he ultimately becomes in the Clone Wars. And then we saw to really the beginning of the Rebel Alliance in Bad Batch. So I would have no problem putting Ryloth in C, easy.
Okay, yeah. Let's go with C.
Yeah, it's not a D,
one.
but it definitely can go to C. All right, this one you may not remember at all, and I think it's going to have a place in people's hearts because it really focused on the clone homeworld of Kamino, and that is the Battle of Kamino. And it turned into a great meme with Ewan McGregor in his like fishing gear. Talking about like, oh, look at it, it's like raining, but you see like the big like these big separatist droids landing on Kamino and taking it out. What stands out from this episode though that fans may remember, the Battle of Kamino is where the ARC troopers kind of really become stars because of what they do in saving their home planet. But more importantly, this is where you meet Clone 99, the old decrepit kind of, special clone that everyone, all the other clones kind of make fun of him because he's a hunchback, but he's still loyal. He still has his conditioning, and he ultimately sacrifices himself to save his brothers.
Yeah, I mean, this one is another one that you're definitely right about. I don't have too much recollection of, but it also feels like this, like, what's the impact of this battle? Like,
well, if they lose Kamino, then the Republic would have lost their clone forces, I think, a year or two into the Clone Wars. So it probably would have fucked the Republic pretty hard.
Okay.
Yeah, the janitor clone. There you go, B-Mad 99. That's who it was.
Yeah, I have a vague recollection of it. I'm kind of leaning towards C tier again because it's one of those ones that it's like, once you get to this level, like a lot of the criteria just goes out the window. Like you don't have multiple fronts. You don't have as much in terms of...
Yeah, it just has like some nuanced, memorable moments, and 99 being one of them. And I also believe, like I said, the ARC troopers finally kind of earned their keep in this one. ARC troopers being like Fives and Echo and those motherfuckers.
Yeah, I mean, I would be comfortable like between B and C here. Like,
yeah, I mean, just for the fact that you barely can even recall what's happening, I think we can comfortably put it into C. It just didn't stand out. So I've got no problem doing C on that one. Okay. This is a huge one. You may not remember, but the Battle of Umbara is probably the most memorable arc from the Clone Wars from the clones' perspective. It takes place over multiple episodes, and it's really the first time the clones start to question their role in the war. And we also see for the first time a general Jedi turn and turn on the clones and start killing the clones to impress Dooku so he could become his apprentice. And I'm talking about Pong Krell, one of the most hated Jedi traitors of all. So this one has a lot of juice with the clone lovers of the world. I can promise you that.
Yeah, I do remember pieces of this for sure. I remember the impact of this arc on the series, and I know that it's like huge. Probably people's favorite arc for a while in the show.
The chat's popping off with S tier, S tier, S tier.
I mean, if it's up to like B-Mad would put everything in the Clone Wars in A, B, or S. So
Nova's up there, and I think he's an old guy, so that's a positive recommendation.
I'm feeling like this falls into A tier or close to A tier because of how impactful this was, both in terms of like having a Jedi turn on the field, and also really the impact, like even more than that, is like the impact of the clones understanding what their place is in this war.
It's huge. I mean, just to refresh everyone's memory, Pong Krell essentially pitted, I think, the 501st against the 221. So Rex's clones versus Cody's. And he was having them kill each other. And then he just started killing them. And ultimately, Dogma the clone, who sided with Pong Krell initially, he's the one that ends up being able to kill him, even though he is chipped and shouldn't be able to shoot a Jedi yet. So there's a lot of big stuff happened, and it's very memorable to the Clone Wars people. I'm with you though. Like I don't know if I can put it into S, but it's definitely an A. It's not any lower than A tier.
Yeah, I feel comfortable with this being A tier as well.
I'll take it. All right, we're down to 2. both Clone Wars battles left here. There's a lot of battles in the Clone Wars. We didn't get all of them, but the big ones. And the one we're talking about now is the Battle of Dathomir. So this is the one where, you know, I don't know if it's Sidious that kind of kicks things off, but he essentially says, hey, fuck nuts. The stuff you've been doing with Asajj and, you know, with these other motherfuckers, teaching them the Force and whatnot, we got to stop this stuff. So Dooku and Grievous essentially go to Dathomir to genocide it. And they do. Yeah. And this is a battle that's also covered in multiple series. You know, we got a whole other perspective of it very recently in Tales of the Empire through Morgan Elsbeth's thread. So this battle ultimately wipes out the Night Sisters completely outside of Morgan Elsbeth. Asajj lives, but she technically was never a true Night Sister. So it had a huge impact on the galaxy. It has affected things beyond it. But the battle itself was also just brutal. I mean, it was a genocide. Mm-hmm. They all die. Yeah. Old Doc is gone. Talzine gets got. I mean, it literally, they erase an entire race of Star Wars aliens.
Yeah. This was an episode that I definitely remember, and this was one where it was like, it showed you the brutality of Sidious, and like literally like this, like it shows you how far he would go to for an inconvenience, because like that's really what the Night Sisters were. Like the Night Sisters were never gonna like be a true threat to Palpatine.
He just couldn't have him giving people Force magic and shit.
Yeah, he was just like, you're an inconvenience to me, and I'm just gonna kill every single one of you. So I'm between A and B here, but I would be fine with either one of them.
Yeah, you know, I think this one is fine sitting in B. I think it's a B, but I'm with you. It could float between the two, low A, high B for sure.
Yeah.
So just because I like glass half empty, we'll make it a B. And the last one, as we complete our 24 best battles of Star Wars tier list rankings, we have the Battle of Anaxis, which essentially kicks off Season 7 of the Clone Wars. The big thing that happens in this battle is the arrival of Clone Force 99, the rescue of Echo from the Techno Union, and his ultimate fold in to Clone Force 99 and becoming a member of the Bad Batch.
Yeah. So this one was, I mean, like you said, the introduction of the Bad Batch, which is like...
Moment-wise, it's pretty big.
Yeah, moment-wise, it's pretty big.
Battle-wise, there was like multiple little skirmishes that ultimately took place before the Republic does end up winning.
Yeah, so thinking about it in terms of like a scale, probably one
last thing, Nick. The reason this battle is so important is because the Separatists were starting to mop up the Republic because they had their tactics from Echo's brain.
Yeah, they had him plugged in, and they were like using him as like essentially like a cheat
code. Yeah,
like strategist. Like they were pulling all of that information.
Genie, if anyone remembers, a game genie.
Yeah, exactly. I like my initial thought on this is B again, because it's like in terms of like scale of battle, I feel like this may be the smallest one aside from the one that we just talked about. Like it's a small scale battle. It does establish a group, like a heroic group that we end up following.
That's kind of where I'm like, that's where I give it a slight bump. Is this is where we get the guys. I mean, we get Clone Force 99, where at first we might have been like, you know, they're a little in your face, but a lot of us came to appreciate, if not love, these dudes over their 3 seasons of their own show.
Yeah. So I'm introduction of Clone Force 99, saving Echo, like relatively limited scope. I feel like it's B. Because you successfully stop the Techno Union from using Echo, but I feel like if they fail, the Republic's just like, all right, well, let's just fucking just go at them harder. Like, we're sending these fuckers in because we don't really care what happens to them. And if they fail, then whatever. Like, we'll just go in and blow these motherfuckers up anyway. I feel like it's almost it's a battle that is essentially trying to stop the Republic from having to do more, from just like having to divert more resources to it. So they're
figure out new battle strategies.
Yeah, like it's essentially like, hey, fuckheads, if you guys can stop them from doing this, it really saves us a lot of trouble. But if you fail, we don't really give a shit about you, and we'll be able to deal with it anyway. Okay. So like small scale, and if we compare that to the genocide of an entire race, I feel like it's C, but I could be swayed for it to be B. But it's like, if I look at everything that's in B, I feel like it doesn't measure up.
Yeah, like battle-wise, I got you there. I got a soft spot for Wrecker and the bunch, but I think you've convinced me that we could make this a C. We can make this a C.
Yeah, just if it was like, hey, if you guys fail, we're fucked. Right. Then it's like then it moves up. But they were literally like, we don't know what to do with you guys. Y'all are all fucked up.
I think Anakin went with them, though, if I remember. I think Anakin was on the mission, too. So was Rex.
They were, but I think they like split. They split off, and they the batch like went on their own.
I'm good.
And then
C tier's good. I'm surprised we didn't have more D tier. So let's go ahead and recap the board. I'll give Nick one shuffle if he wants, because I got my Geonosis up there to A. But here we go. When it's all said and done, this is what the SWTS bros have for their rankings. S tier, Battle of Scarif, Siege of Mandalore, Battle of Yavin, Battle of Hoth, Battle of Endor. I think that's a very strong S tier, and it doesn't surprise me that most of them take place in the OT, the best T. A tier, Battle of Naboo, Battle of Lothal, Battle of Geonosis, Battle of Starkiller Base, and Battle of Umbara. B tier, we've got the Battle of Coruscant, Battle of Mimbam, Battle of Exegol, Conflict on Mandalore, Battle of Teth, Battle of Dathomir. C tier, Battle of Jakku, Battle of Mos Espa, Battle of Crate, Battle of Christophas, Battle of Ryloth, Battle of Camino, Battle of Anaxis. So we basically hate battles from the Clone Wars. And then the D tier is the Conflict on Wayland, which was the Bad Batch finale. Yeah, I think it's pretty legit.
Yeah,
I think B-Man's right. In the Battle of Anaxis, Anakin kills the fuck's his name? Admiral Trench. Admiral Trench, which is huge.
If it's a who's the fuck his name?
No, it's Admiral Trench.
I know who you're saying. Yeah. I know who it is. It doesn't bump it to B.
Fair enough.
Like, but here's the thing.
So Nick, you get one move here on the finished board. What do you think?
I think I'm comfortable, honestly. Okay. Like I think I'm comfortable. The only thing that I would consider is moving Crate from C to D, because I just really feel like there was no battle on Crate.
All right, you know what? Fuck them. Yeah, I mean, they're feeling lonely down there in D anyway, so I'm with you, because I'm like got some OCD with numbers and how things line up, so I like that better.
Like if there was an actual battle, that was just not them.
Hey, when Rey flew in with the Falcon, she shot a few like TIE fighters.
Yeah,
I think
she blew up 2 TIE fighters, and it was like,
oh, Chewie flies through the planet with a few.
Yeah, and I mean, like, if you look at all of these other ones, it's like there's an actual conflict that's happening. Right. Like, this is literally just like Crate is them being like,
fair enough.
I really crossed my fingers and hope somebody shows up here and saves us. And that was it. And then luckily for them, Luke did. I feel like Crate was visually cool looking, and it's undoubtable that moment with Luke standing there being cool and like brushing the dust off of his shoulder and making fun of Kylo was a fun moment. But to me, it just wasn't a battle. Like it wasn't a battle in the way that you look at all of these other battles. Like it just lacked the competitiveness. Like it was literally people waiting to die, and then a ghost shows up and lets them run away. And that's ultimately how that plays out.
I'm with you, man. I moved it. It is dead. And I have downloaded our board, so we'll share it tomorrow. Let's do one quick check-in on what the fans have been getting at, and then we're going to rush through the fan segment.
Yes, we are going to run through this.
All right, let me reload. So we got 27 votes in. Right now, we just have it on most votes. The fans are sitting at S tier, Hoth, Endor, Naboo, Yavin,
Wow.
Siege of Mandalore, Scarif, and Crate is up there in S tier. Interesting. A tier, we got Battle of Coruscant, Conflict on Mandalore. B tier, Lothal, Dathomir, Geonosis, Mos Espa, Exegol, Ryloth, Starkiller Base. A little low for that, people. Christophus, and Camino. C tier, Jakku, Wayland, Mimban, Teth, Anaxis, Umbara. Ooh, Umbara all the way down at C. No D tier. So that was just...
Y'all got to use D tier. There are D tier battles in here.
That's crazy.
100%.
The fans, they're kind. Average rating, 100%. I don't really know what that means, but when we switch to average, Hoth and Endor are the only two in S tier. So
yeah,
we will let that run. We got 18 hours left on the poll. Like I said, once that's done, I will compare the ratings there, but thanks to those participating. But as you just heard, we're going to whip through our fan segment here. We do it every week. We got question of the week. You just got to be following us on socials, pay attention, turn on notifications, all that shit. Okay? Respond. You're probably going to get on the show. All right, here we go, Nick. Let me switch our screens around. Our question of the week obviously is always themed to our main topic. So what is one of your favorite Star Wars battles and why? Go. EKU Rory kind of used to ask us anything for his question of the week, but we'll give him a pass.
Yeah. EKU Rory says, the Battle of the Great Grass Plains and the Assault on Theed.
Of course he would. He loves those Gungans, and he would hate Nick for not making it S tier.
That's right. Hey, we put it in A tier, man. It's still up there. It's still up there. All right,
this is Johnny Boy.
Yes, indeed. Johnny Osage. He says, hello, SWTS. Because I love TSB, Empire Strikes Back. He says, I would say the Battle of Hoth, since it introduced the T-47, aka Snowspeeder, and the AT-AT. But if we're talking battle, hands down, the Battle of Scarif. We had space pew-pews, dogfights, once inside the shield, ground forces getting some, and we got some of the better Star Wars lines on One with the Force and the Force is with many. Too soon.
I actually put a good power of one too many meme joke in our Discord. Check it out. It's about the Acolyte getting canceled. It was a good one.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, nice. So, next.
There we go. Johnny. Next up, we got League of Extraordinary Sixthers. She says the Battle of Scarif was visually stunning for both land and space sequences, 100%. Drew Original says Battle of Hoth set up the darker tone for the greatest Star Wars film ever created. There you go. 2797 Studios says, oh man, choosing just one is a tall task. The visual chaos of the Battle of Geonosis, the heartache of the Battle of Umbara, the scale of the Battle of Coruscant, the Battle of Mandalore, all top choices for sure, but I'm an OT guy, and the Battle of Endor will always be number one from front to end, all the classic Star Wars tropes. Crazy Ewoks, massive armies of troopers.
Right answer.
Hopeless chaos ending with the most epic duel and the final destruction of Palp. I mean, the Death Star. Good stuff there from 2797, Mr. Bat. Quick Toy Picks says, I love the Battle of Hot, but finally Geonosis.
That's the bootleg version of the Battle of Hoth.
Yeah, that's the one where it's like stop motion animation. It's really new and powerful. So Geonosis is really new and powerful, starting with the Jedi's arena, and then the army of clones. Very impressive. First Yoda duel with lightsaber.
Battle of
Could
Geonosis.
not believe it. So they're a Geonosis fan right there. Lady Elaine, 24,
making her return.
She says it's difficult to pick just one, but at the top for me is the Battle of Hoth. The rebels were outnumbered, but the way they fought by tripping the AT-ATs is a favorite part of mine.
There you go, Nick.
That and Leia is Leia waiting to go and seeing the utter defeat of Darth Vader's pride.
Look at this motherfucker! Isn't she just the wisest of all fans? That's actually a very on point perspective there.
Yeah,
if you think about it, like Leia literally staying last. And then, just as her dad rounds the corner, they peace out, and he's like, "Fuck."
That's right. Good point, Lady Elaine.
2 points.
Yeah. Loose Star Wars guys says Battle of Hoth. The Falcon's escape included.
I like that handle.
Next. Yeah.
Nick and I, we're loose Star Wars guys, if you know what I mean.
We're loose. Next up, Nova Toymation says, I'm going with the Umbara arc in the Clone Wars. It was visually stunning, had gritty storytelling, and it pushed the clones to begin questioning where their loyalties lie. Not to mention the antagonist turns out to be a double lightsaber staff wielding Jedi general. Yeah, I mean, Umbara arc was up there for us too, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Pon Krell is the same species as, what's his name? Was it Jax's diner? Where's Obi-Wan go to talk to that big fatso? Dex.
Damn
Dex. I've got to go get my brain scanned, man.
It's Dex Jetster.
Yeah,
I think
it is.
It's
like I can't
Dex
believe
Jetster.
I can't just recall these anymore. This is 44, my friends. I have some holes in my fucking brain.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm pretty sure I'm
his
over the
species
10
anymore.
for the poll that people started in the chat.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
You're for sure. I'm pretty sure it's 86 to 14, and the 86% said that you would go over 10.
Yeah.
So those are the winners.
Well, they're true fans. They know what's going on over here.
Yeah. All right. For Mando Pirate says Battle of Endor because Ewoks causing chaos, the gnarly space battle, Lando's run on the Death Star, and finally
Fuck
Yub
yeah.
Nub playing at the end.
Yeah.
And there's
Yub
no
Nub.
other song. It's only Yub Nub.
Okay, we got a Twitter one this week.
Yeah, we got Blau Vinch MP. I'm sorry if I fucking skewered your name, honestly. The social media battle for the
I love
Acolyte,
that.
apart from that.
I was like,
Yeah.
I even replied to them. I was like, that was a good line.
That was good. But other than that, apart from that, he says Battle of Endor, Battle for Hoth, and Battle of Scare.
All right.
So
all good
there we go. Good
choices.
stuff there. And then the final one here, this is from our YouTube. This is from B. Matt. He says, does Jedi Temple and Rots count?
Well,
I think we already
it does
discussed
for
that.
you, Be Mad, but I might include that more on like a duel or small battle. We'll get it someday, but for you, it works.
Battle where many children were murdered.
That's
Number one. But yes, thank you all for responding to our question of the week. To get involved in that, make sure to head over to Instagram, StarWarsTime.show on Instagram. That's where you will find it. It is posted before our shows on both Tuesday and Wednesday, so keep your eyes out there. Next up, we have our top 5 Star Wars fan artist features of the week. Same thing. Go to Instagram, follow us, add tag at StarWarsTime.show on all of your Star Wars Instagram posts. That's how you get into the running for the top 5. So to kick off the top 5 for this week, we have Clone Trooper Foe on Instagram, and we have an awesome shot. This is like a World War I trench battle type of shot. You have stormtroopers with a scout trooper in the trenches, covered in dirt, covering themselves from incoming explosives. It's just a really awesome wartime shot.
Yeah, and it's perfect for this episode as we just tried to rank and put it, I don't know, B, C tier, but the Battle of Mimban. So a nice little compliment to today's topic from clone_trooper_PHO.
That's right. Next up, we have Rascal Bear photos with another bucket
Nick had
head
himself
shot.
a scout trooper fetish this week, huh?
This was a clean scout trooper shot too, for sure. So Rascal Bear Photos hitting us with this awesome scout trooper shot where he's got his sniper rifle lined up. He's on a nice piece of bark. He's probably in the forest of Endor, aiming down sights.
He's probably
that's
shooting
Ewoks.
an Ewok. Man, that's fucked
That's
up.
right. But this shot is super clean, and that's what really drew me to it.
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, I think that's a hot toy. Not that it matters, but you got that nice little light ray leaking in there on the left side. Quality shot. One of the better buckets out there. The Scout Trooper. Rascal Bear .photos Instagram.
That's right. Next up, we have JZHG6669. JZHG has been on a tear. Like, this dude's putting out some high quality
Everyone
stuff.
is essentially a wall hanger.
Yeah, like this. I mean, like, and if you look at it, he has it framed in the next one, and it's signed by Hayden, which is nuts. But what we see here is Anakin Skywalker and is essentially standing on the bridge of a vessel, an Imperial vessel, or maybe at this time a Republic vessel, looking down into a reflection of water, and in the reflection sees his evil self, Darth Vader, with the Imperial flag waving or on the ground right next to it. It's just such a good juxtaposition of what Anakin was versus what he becomes in his reflection.
Awesome. I mean, it's a fucking piece of art, my friends. Like that's about as strong of superlatives as I can throw at this thing. It's amazing. Like this is
Yes.
art. Everything we talk about is art, but this is like, yeah, you could see this in a gallery.
100%. So make sure to give them a follow. JZHZ6669 on Instagram. Next up, we got Mando Mugshots. Mando
Always
Mugshots was in
quality.
here earlier
Always
talking
quality.
around. Always quality, and the quality that we get here is from the Mandoverse. So we see Din and Grogu sitting there with IG-11 behind them, and they're taking out some remnant stormtroopers in the middle. I mean, that is IG-11, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah,
this is,
yeah. No, he's got
yeah,
them tagged in there. So yeah, you're correct.
Okay. Yes, I am
This
correct.
is like,
so, yeah.
I hope Mando's still in here. It's probably late over there, but I'm still positive this dude shoots with a smartphone only, and it's pretty much always Digirama. He's one of the best Digirama people out there. Him and Mr. Stormtrooper Davis, I think, are the tops.
Yeah.
Outside of work, more or less, who kind of started the art form. But if Mando's still doing this on a phone, like, come on, one of the best out there.
Yeah, that's incredible work. Mando _
Let us know, Mando, if
Mugshots
you're still in here.
on IG. Yeah, let us know. And then
like
to
this
close out the top 5, this is from Dreamer
My
Jedi
guys.
Master, and it's the bros, right? It's
Yeah.
the OG bros. It's R2D2. It's C3PO. Right when they land on Tatooine at the beginning of A New Hope, in the sand, just lost as can be, and about to start their journey into the Star Wars galaxy. I mean, just
Yeah,
an
it's just-
iconic duo.
I love
iconic shot.
the color tones here. Like the natural environment just really works well with C-3PO's gold. It just really, it's a very pleasing shot, like color tone wise. So great work, Dreamer _Jedi _Master on Instagram.
And that's it. That's the end of the top 5, and that's the end of our show. Thank you all for sticking with us. And hey, we're going to have some time for some more special topics after this one. So tune in next
Yeah,
week.
I'm going to say, we'll be back with another one next week. I don't know if we'll be tearing stuff out. I got to go through the rainy day list or maybe let Nick look through that tier maker to see if he has any ideas that he would like to run with. But trust me when I say this, we will not lack for content for a good while. Even as Star Wars seems like it's dying at Disney in terms of TV and whatnot, we're not getting a movie for at least another, it feels like 2 years at this point.
2 years.
Skeleton Crew not coming until December. So we got some time to fill with just the dudes of the SWTS, and we will never disappoint. We'll always bring our A game, bring in those special topics, hopefully including the fans. I'm going to start to use these live polls a bit more. I liked all that. Fun show today. Always appreciate those of you taking your time to join us live, 5 p. East on Wednesdays, youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. If you're listening on the podcast, where are you at? Who cares if you're at work? This show is worth getting fired for. So tell your friends, stump around, let them know. The easiest way to get hooked into the SWTS is through StarWarsTime.net, the site you see scrolling right now with a bunch of goofy ads from Sideshow because this guy still can't stop looking at toys even though he ain't got no cash. So don't forget, StarWarsTime.net. There's always time for Star Wars Time. Hit those links, join the podcast, leave ratings and reviews. Thumbs up the YouTube live stream. Share the live stream like Nova did last week. If you were watching it and you thought, hey, these idiots are actually kind of good at this, clip it. Let me know. He clipped one. I thought it was good enough. I actually turned it into a reel to share around. So we appreciate that type of interaction. Remember, Tinkerbell here. It's all about feedback. That's all we need. The cache has been nice from our members. Speaking of members, we got a new member. Divided Skywalker, we appreciate you. I know I shouted you out earlier just to hit it again. But any of you, if you've been sitting here listening around, you know what? These guys are worth $1.99 a month, or hell, maybe even $4.99 or $9.99. Don't forget, we do have memberships open down there in the description section. Just hit that join now button. We will love you for life, and Nick will love you long time. All right, my friends, there is always time for Star Wars Time. Don't you forget it. And you should also not forget that if you listen or watch this little stupid show, the Force will be with you, just like it was with Luke in the Death Star. Always.